What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto got the angel clan warrior Lumina pregnant and heaven claimed their child? If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments, and also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation. Konohagakure no Sato, the Hidden Leaf Village. October 10th, nighttime. Cries of pain and anguish plagued the Hidden Leaf Village as regular civilians rushed toward the evacuation sites located behind the Hokage's fire shadow face statue. Medical staff on high alert as seemingly endless amount of people are placed in the hospital. Soldiers, or as this land called them, shinobi, prepared their weapon and hurried to the battle site. What the cause of all this, you ask? Well, the answer are very simple. The nine-tailed fox suddenly started to attack the village in the dead of night. The nine-tailed fox is an orange giant fox-shaped beast with 9 tails attached to its tailbone. The beast was said to be a walking disaster since one swing of its mighty tail can cause a tsunami. One deafening roar from the great beast can create earthquakes. One swing of its demonic claw can end the life of hundreds. Yes, the beast was truly frightening, and today it decided to bring its wrath down on the people of Konoha, the Hidden Leaf Village. No one knew what caused the beast to attack Konoha, and no one noticed that instead of the regular slitted eye that the nine-tailed beast regularly have, its eyes are now red with black pupil and 3 tomos circulating around the pupil. The Sharingan eyes that only appear before the descendant of Indra, son of the sage of the sixth path, the Uchiha. The famed eye that is said to have unimaginable power. One glanced at the eye and you would be trapped in a genjutsu, a ninja art based on illusions. No, the shinobi of Konoha did not notice this. The reasons? They were trying to protect their home and loved one. But that little detail was seen by one person, and that person was Hiruzen Sarutobi. Standing proud on the Hokage monument overlooking his village getting destroyed was the previous Hokage. The third Hokage and the apprentice of Hashirama Senju and Tobirama Senju, the first and second Hokage respectively. Hiruzen Sarutobi was famous for his prowess in the battlefield that his enemy and allies referred to him as the god of shinobi. Hiruzen was also the current clan head of the Sarutobi clan and was known across the globe as the Professor because of his brilliant tactic use in the wars he was in. He was a proud and kind man that believed that the future generation of the ninja of his village will grow up to be stronger than the previous generation. Hiruzen was not someone who is easily angered. But like everything, there a limit. And seeing the civilians and ninjas alike get destroyed by the nine-tails fox just sent him over the edges. Right now he was waiting for the commanding officer to report to him, since his successor, Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, was busy tending to his wife and children that was surpassed to be born today. He was close to just ran to the monster and battle it, but as if sensing the third Hokage inner turmoil, a masked individual materialized before him, in his knee, bowing. This man wore a lion mask and white cloak covering his body. Ths only thing visible on him was his hair and shoe. This man was none other than Lion, the Anbu captain of Konoha. The Anbu were elite black ops soldier created by the second Hokage to do the advance mission and only follow the Hokage orders, and right now he was reporting to the Hokage. Status report, Captain, came a commanding voice of the third Hokage. All citizens are at the evacuation point. The injured are in the hospital with Princess Tsunade healing them, so unless they receive a fatal blow they will be fine, reported the Anbu captain. Lord Jiraiya finished gathering the fire user on the tower and are ready to fire at your command. Lord Orochimaru has the Uchiha police ready to deploy as you command, and the Anbu are all waiting on your call, Lord Hokage. As the captain said this, Hiruzen couldn't be more proud of how wonderful his student become. The once shy and creepy Orochimaru was now kinder and willing to follow other command even though he doesn't like the plan. The goofball that Jiraiya became one of the strongest ninja in the elemental nation and was the only person in this generation to ever become a sage. Tsunade, who used to be hot-headed, was now calmer and was the greatest medic since Hashirama Senju to ever walk the earth. To say he was proud was an understatement. But this was not the time to think about such trivial matter. They have a monster at their front door. The nine-tailed fox was near the gate. Tell Orochimaru and his troop to move in, and Anbu follow me. He yelled as he jumped off the tower and head toward the raging tail beast. Hundreds of Anbu followed behind him, their step not even leaving a sound. Somewhere east to where the nine-tail are rampaging was a group of Solitaire all wearing blue shirt with an Uchiha symbol on their back and black ninja pant. What is unique about this group is that their eyes are all red with black pupil and 3 black tomo surrounding the pupil. The third level of the Sharingan. Leading them was Orochimaru, one of the legendary Sannin of Konoha and the famed scientist known for creating useful surveillance gadgets. "Alright, we're going to march to the battlefield and stop that behemoth," cried Orochimaru as he pointed to Tail Beast receiving cheers from the Uchiha's clan. Turning toward them he spoke, "Now remember, we are not just fighting for our clan or for our loved one, we are fighting to protect the village as a whole. We wasted enough time talking, let's go slay the beast and bring glory back to the Uchiha clan." As he finished his mini-speech, Orochimaru jumped onto the roof with the entire battalion of Uchiha shinobi cheering all the way. About half a mile from the battle site we found a large group of shinobi wearing Konoha Junin uniform line up in a straight line, their body facing the Great Kitsune. All of them sweating and scared but determined to protect their home from the beast. In front of them was a middle-aged man wearing a traditional Anbu uniform which consists of a black shirt and pant with a white armor build for speed and flexibility. White armguard, and instead of a regular Konoha headband his have a kanji for oil. This man was Jiraiya, one of the 3 legendary Sannin and the Toad Sage of Mount Myoboku. Unlike the ninja that he was leading, this man doesn't seem scared of the fox. Heck, he wasn't even looking at the fox. Instead he was talking into his walkie-talkie about something very important. "Come on Tsunade, let's go on a date right now, it's not like some monster is attacking the village," whined Jiraiya, causing his subordinates to sweat drop. Is he for real? Were the thought of the ninja under him. "Shut up Jiraiya and stop calling me, we have patients coming in every 10 seconds. Lady Tsunade, this man lost his right leg and need immediate attention. Damn, call me when you have something important to say. Wait, you know what, just don't call me at all. Got that Jiraiya?" cried the enraged Tsunade from the walkie-talkie. Her voice were so loud that Jiraiya had to cover his ears and his subordinates to cringed from the volume. Sighing, Jiraiya turned to the ninja assigned to him with a serious face, but if you look into his eye you would see that it contained unimaginable amount of mischief. His subordinates did not see that, unfortunately. They saw the serious face on their leader face and stood straight awaiting for news. "I got good news and bad news," he said with a sigh. "The good news is that all we need to do is wait for the 3rd Hokage signal and we can counter-attack." He got nods from everyone. Jiraiya sighed again before continuing. "The bad news is horrific, are you sure you want to hear it?" He spoke quietly, causing his subordinates to nodded and lean closer in anticipation. "Are you sure?" he asked. They nodded and leaned even closer. "Fine, I'll tell, ready?" This again caused them to nodded and leaned closer. Nervousness washed over them. "Tsunade won't go out with me." At that all his subordinates fell down comically with large sweat drops on their foreheads. Seeing them like that, Jiraiya just laughed. That was a good one, now get ready for the. He didn't get to finish his sentence because a dragon made of pure fire flew past them and exploded in the sky. That the signal, hurry, use your strongest fire technique at the fox. All his subordinates got up and quickly did hand seals before firing different fire technique at the great beast. Jiraiya did 3 quick hand seal before covering his right hand on his mouth, exclaiming, "Fire style, fire dragon bomb." A large dragon made of the fire element came out of his mouth and was sent toward the rampaging fox. The 9-tails fox saw the incoming projectile and crossed its arm to protect itself. The attacks hit its mark but did minimal damages. In the east where the Uchiha was at, Orochimaru quickly ordered his soldiers, quickly its attention or elsewhere, aim the attacks on the fox exposed back. As soon as he uttered those words, all the Uchiha fired giant fireball at the beast exposed back. Seeing that the fireball was almost at its mark, Orochimaru did a quick hand seal before taking a deep breath of air in and exclaimed, "Wind style. Great breakthrough." He released all the air store in his lungs and fire off a huge stream of wind that when clashed with the fire technique caused the fire technique to become bigger. The attacks hit its mark and caused the 9 tails to roar in pain and fury. The tail beast turned its huge head toward the Uchiha and blew a huge stream of fire at them. The Uchiha cowered in fear and was about to dodge when they suddenly heard what their captain said. "Summoning. Gate of Rashomon." A huge demonic-looking gate crashed down from the sky, resulting in 3 houses getting destroyed, but it did stop the 9-tailed fox attack. Don't waste opportunity, attack now, and when it attack back shield yourself with Rashomon, ordered Orochimaru, receiving many, yes sir, and, hi. Sighing, Orochimaru grabbed his walkie-talkie and spoke into it. Sarutobi-sensei, what the next course of action? He asked into the walkie-talkie. Directly in front of the raging tails beast was Hiruzen Sarutobi and his army of Enbu Black Ops preparing the fight of their life. Sarutobi grabbed his walkie-talkie and ordered, all we can do is stall the beast until Minato arrived. As he said that, the 9-tail swing one of its gigantic tail at the 3rd Hokage. Sarutobi wasn't even fazed by the incoming object. All he did was bite his finger, to make bloods drip out before slamming his bloody hand into the ground while exclaiming, summoning technique. A black seal appeared on the ground before it exploded into a cloud of smokes. When the smoke cleared, you could see a human-sized monkey standing on 2 legs and arm crossed. The monkey has a long white mane extending from its head so it looked like hair and a long white tails. What was surprising was that the monkey was wearing clothes. Black jumpsuit with a leopard pattern vest and a yellow fur-like materials on the shoulders. Enma, transform into the adamantine staff now. Calmly ordered Hiruzen. The monkey, apparently named Enma, got into a pose before exclaiming, transformation, adamantine staff. With a puff of smoke, the monkey was gone and in its place was a black staff with teal tips. Picking up the staff, Hiruzen swung it at the incoming tail. Surprisingly, when the 2 objects clashed, the tail was the one that lost and got swung back. Putting the staff in front of him, Hiruzen exclaimed, extend. With that said, the staff got longer until it hit the fox, sending it flying back a couple of meters. Getting his walkie-talkie, Hiruzen quickly exclaimed into it. Jiraiya, Orochimaru, summon Gamabunta and Manda. Do anything you can to stall the beast. I'll go look for Minato so we can seal it back into Kushina. After hearing a hi from them, Hiruzen turned around and ordered, Captain and Lieutenant, follow me while the rest of you attack the 9-tail. With that said, he jumped off and ran toward the place where Kushina was supposed to give birth. Following behind him were the Captain and Lieutenant of the Anbu. As the 3rd Hokage and the Captain and Lieutenant searched for the 4th Hokage, every Junin and higher-ranking ninja were fighting for their life. So far, about 10% of Konoha were destroyed, but luckily it was the unpopulated land that was destroyed, so no one died when the 9-tails suddenly appear. Medical ninjas stood a good distance from the beast as they scanned the area for any hurt shinobi of Kunoichi. According to what the 3rd Hokage ordered, any soldier that is injured savagely will be taken to the hospital immediately. All injured ninjas were thanking their beloved 4th Hokage and his wife for installing barriers seal around the hospital so now it can't be destroyed. Not even if the 9-tails fire its signature move, Tail Beast Bomb. On the battlefield, ninja were firing various long-range technique hoping to take down the beast. Unfortunately, it seemed to only make the 9-tails angrier. Amidst the chaos occurring in the battlefield were 2 men, each releasing a large amount of chakras that the roof tiles under them started to shake. These 2 gentlemen were angry. No furious would not even describe how mad they were at this moment. The villagers and ninjas alike were ready to retire home for a night when the 9-tails suddenly appear and start destroying their village. Indeed, they were furious and want nothing more than to have vengeance. These 2 men were the strongest of their generation and are still revered for type prowess on the battlefield. They were Orochimaru and Jiraiya, 2 of the 3 legendary Sannin. The normally playful and joyous face that Jiraiya often have on were now replaced with a serious and battle-hardened look. Are you ready, Orochimaru? Calmly asked Jiraiya. Yes, now are you? Before Orochimaru can finish his statement, a loud crash was heard on a roof perpendicular to the one they were standing on. Whatever impacted it was powerful enough to cause some of the tiles to flew off and cause smoke, but not strong enough to penetrate the roof. Turning their head to see what caused the commotion, and what they saw clearly surprised both of them. Well, actually Orochimaru was surprised while Jiraiya was excited and have a strange look in his eye. The smoke were billowing out and the 2 men could make out a silhouette of a woman standing tall with her head lower. When the smoke finally cleared, they could see a rather tall woman, almost the same height as Orochimaru, with blonde hair and a very impressive bust. The woman was wearing a tight gray no-sleeves blouse and a dark purple pants with a purple sash tie around her waist, like belt. This woman was none other than Tsunade Senju, one of the 3 legendary ninja and greatest medic to have ever walked the earth. Finally getting over his shock at seeing his old teammate Orochimaru exclaimed, "What are you doing here, Tsunade? You're supposed to be tending the injured." "I'm here to help, and beside when I left there were no one who was harmed fatally that wasn't heal," replied Tsunade calmly as she inspected her nails. The action which caused Jiraiya to giggle perviously. "And I'm pretty confident that Shizune will be able to heal the rest of the patient." Before Orochimaru can retold, they heard a loud roar and turned to look for the source. What they saw scared the 3 Legengari ninja. About several meters from the gates were the 9-tailed fox with its mouth wide open collecting positive and negative chakras in a compressed sphere. There were one technique like that. The Tails Beast Bomb. Tails Beast Bomb, muttered Jiraiya as he stared at the technique that was said to able to destroy village with only one blast. Turning to his old teammates he quickly exclaimed, "There's no time for chit-chat, we need to stop the 9 tails before it complete that technique." Orochimaru looked at Jiraiya before smiling and nodded his head. It seemed the old gang's back together, he muttered, remembering the time they spent as a team as he prepared the necessary hand seals. Tsunade just looked at Jiraiya disbelievingly before shaking her head and give out a small chuckle. "It's time to show the younger generation that we're still the strongest," she said quietly, remembering their time together as a kid and how immature Jiraiya used to be. Jiraiya did the 3 hand seals quickly and shouted, "Let's protect our home and family." All 3 of them slammed their hand on the ground simultaneously while exclaiming, "Summoning technique." Seals began to form where the 3 ninjas slammed their hand in and a huge amount of smokes pour out, grabbing all the ninjas' attention. Even the 9 tails looked to the source. When the smoke cleared out, 3 creatures were revealed. All humongous. Coiling ready to strike was a viper with purple reptilian scales with black stripe covering its body. Its enormous head has 4 horns in the direction of its body. The 2 outer horns appear to be bigger than the ones on the inside. Standing on top of this menacing creature is none other than the snake Sannin, Orochimaru. To the right of the viper we find what would be considered a giant frog. Nope, my mistake, a giant toad wearing a maroon haori with white fasting and a giant kanji for toads on the back, written in pale white. On its red body you can see many warts proving its old age, and a giant scar that ran down its left eye. Clearly shows that this toad is not to be messed with. The most provoking item on the toad is in fact a giant knife strapped to its thigh. The knife is the same height as a 3-story building. There also seem to be a massive wooden pipes hanging on its mouth. Sitting in meditation style on the toad's head was the infamous toad sage, Jiraiya the Gallant, also known as the self-proclaimed super pervert. To the right of the giant toad was what seemed to be a large, slimy slug. The slug is ovarial white with a thick blue lines directly on top of its back and 2 more blue lines on the side each. On top of the giant slime was Tsunade Senju, the last Senju alive and the one of the greatest, if not the greatest, medics nin to ever grace the elemental nation. She was known to the ninja population as the Slug Princess and one of the 3 legendary Sannins of the Leaf. Seeing the greatest team to have ever been formed in the Hidden Leaf Village with their humongous summons by their side sent hope to everyone watching. Every single ninja at the battlefield cheered while the 9 tails fox just growls menacingly. The summoning caught him by surprise and thus losing his concentration on generating Tail Beast's bomb. Seeing the 9-tailed fox caused the giant toad's eyes to widen. Quickly scanning everything in its line of sight, the giant toad saw the other 2 summon at its peripheral vision. Releasing a huge swarms of smoke out, the toad bellowed, well, it seems the old gang's back together to face another problem." Just like old time, the toad eyes suddenly turned serious. How did the fox get out of Kushina? I thought Minato's seal would prevent it from resurfacing. It said while glaring at the fox, in return got a glared back from said fox. Still in his meditating position, Jiraiya replied, "We still don't know the detail, Gamabunta, or where Minato and Kushina are and what happened to them, but clearly something went wrong during the sealing when Kushina was giving birth." "Ah, that correct, Kushina were going to give birth to triplets," said the toad apparently named Gamabunta before grumbling, 3 more annoying brats to deal with. "What do you want us to do, Jiraiya?" Cause I'm pretty sure that even with Katsuya and Mando with me, I can't positively said that we're going to come out on top. You don't need to beat it, just stall it until Minato comes so he can seal it, said Jiraiya. Also try to stay still, I'm trying to build up chakra to summon the elders, so I can enter sage mode. Gamabunta nodded and got into a fighting stance with one arm in a hand seal and another gripping the knife. As you wish, now get ready cause I want me a fox's fur wallet, exclaimed the giant toad as it awaits Jiraiya's signal to start. With Tsunade while Jiraiya was talking. Lady Tsunade, how may I be of assistance? Spoke a kind and gentle voice of the giant slug even though the slug can clearly tell why it was summoned. Katsuya, I need you to help us stall the 9 tails until Jiraiya's brat arrived to seal it, stated Tsunade while having her hands in the tiger seal and eyes closed. Her hair suddenly start levitating, albeit very little, as her body started to be encompassed by a green aura. Also divide yourself to transport anyone injured to the hospital. Shizune should be able to take care of the rest. As you command, Lady Tsunade, stated the slug named Katsuya as she got into her fighting stance, which was basically stretching her limbs and pulling her herd back a bit. The slug was waiting for Tsunade to give the signal so she can attack the 9 tails. If you look closely you can see tiny clones of Katsuya appearing on her back rushing to the battlefield, picking any injured shinobi they could find. With Orochimaru, while the other were talking to their summon and giving out order, Orochimaru just stood on top of the giant viper with his eyes closed and arm crossed with a passive face. His summon was also doing the same, coiling on itself with its eye closed. Just listening to the sound of nature and the occasionally growl from the 9 tails. Orochimaru's eyes suddenly snapped open, revealing a pair of yellow eyes that seems to glow in the dark with slitted black pupil. The eye of a predator looking at its prey. Ready, Manda? Hissed Orochimaru as he got into a fighting stance taught to him by the great white snake sage of Ryuchi Cave. Ready, Orochimaru, hissed the viper named Manda back. It also got into its fighting stance, which was really just coiling tighter and head ready to strike. Waiting for Orochimaru's signal. Go now, exclaimed Jiraiya. Now's the chance, Katsuya, shouted Tsunade. Move in, Manda, said Orochimaru calmly. The effects were instantaneous. Gamabunta jumped toward the 9 tails, swinging its knife straight down, aiming for its neck. The fox, however, was very used to fighting, given the immortality and countless battle it went through. Just brought out its left arm, channeling its demonic chakra to its fur, making them harder than diamond. When the knife hit the fox fur, it just bounced off, shocking the boss toad. Seeing that Gamabunta guards slip, the 9 tails fox bought its right arm and was about to scratch the toad with its poisonous claw, but found that it couldn't move its right arm. Turning to look the cause of the problems, the 9 tails found that its right arm was being wrapped by the scaly tail of the boss of the snake summon. Manda decided not to waste such a golden opportunity, reared its head back and struck the tail beast arm with its fang, coated with deadly venoms. Unfortunately, the 9 tails predicted that and quickly reared its left arm to grab the snake's head before it can bite him and threw Manda toward the unsuspecting toad. Gamabunta was shocked. One moment it was trying to slice the 9 tails head off, and the next moment he was being thrown back toward the hidden leaf village with Manda on top of him. When the 2 summon crashed onto the ground, the impact caused an abundance of tree to be uplifted and huge dust clouds to appear. Instinct flaring, the 9-tailed turned around and bought its arm together in a protective manner, which was a good idea since soon after Katsuya raced toward him intending to bring the fox down by tackling it, and tackle she did. Katsuya did manage to tackle the 9 tails, but since the beast was already on defense it received minimal damage and only moved a couple of feet. Using 3 of its tail, the 9 tail wrapped them around the slug struggling to get free. The fox lifted Katsuya up before slamming her to the ground, resulting in a huge crater. Not wasting an opportunity, the 9 tails lifted her up again and repeated his action 3 times before tossing the injured slug toward the other 2 summons. Not wanting to hurt her teammate, Katsuya separated into thousands of little clones to cushion her impact. All 3 summons was now on the ground, all hurt from the small fight with the 9 tails. Quickly on its webbed feet, Gamabunta exclaimed, "Are you ready, Jiraiya? Cause we need all the help we can get." "I'm sorry, but I need more time." "Orochimaru, Tsunade, cover for me," shouted Jiraiya, still in his meditating position. "Fine, it seemed close range won't work. We have to use long range technique to distract it before going in with a sneak attack," mumbled Tsunade before an idea came to her. Quickly turning toward Orochimaru she exclaimed, "Orochimaru, you and Manda use a long-range technique on the fox and I'll attack it while it occupied." Deciding that it was a pretty good idea, Orochimaru nodded. "You heard her, Manda, get ready," he said as he prepared a string of hand seal. "Menacing poison cloud," yelled Manda as it opened its jaw to unleash a torrent of poisonous gases toward the nine-tail. "Wind style. Furious tornado," stated Orochimaru as he finished his hand seal and unleashed a huge tornado from his mouth and toward the nine tails. Before reaching the nine tails, the tornado combined with the gases cloud, forming a tornado of poisonous gases that is heading toward the tail beast at a very fast rate. Seeing the incoming danger, the nine tails let loose a deafening roar which caused a small shock wave with enough power to disperse the poison tornado. "Acid spray!" cried Katsuya as she unleashed a torrent of acid. The nine tails thought that it destroyed all the incoming attacks, so it wasn't expecting any danger. That was a mistake on his part because all of the acids unleashed by Katsuya hit him. Cried the nine tails in pain. Seeing that the fox was now vulnerable, Tsunade took a leap into the air and sent the nine tails flying a couple of miles from a powerful punch. The fox was sent flying until coming to a stop at the side of a small mountain, causing said mountain to be destroyed. Orochimaru did 3 hand seals before slamming both hands on the ground, causing 2 black seal to appear. Summoning triple gate of Rashomon. 3 demonic gate appear from the earth surrounding the downed fox in a triangular formation. Orochimaru did another 3 hand seal before shouting out, "Hidden leaf secret technique. Wrath of Rashomon." Suddenly inside the gate an infernal erupted and a loud roar of pain can be heard through the battlefield, causing some to winces. Orochimaru was sweating because that last 2 technique cost him almost all his chakra. After a minute the gates started to crack, causing Orochimaru to scowl. "Hurry up, Minato, I don't know how long we can keep this up," he whispered to himself. Just as he finished speaking, the 3 gates broke in a mighty explosion into tiny little pieces. The nine tails was unleashed again and now it looked mad. Forest clearing, destination unknown. Far, far, far away from the rampaging beast we find 2 exceptionally gifted ninjas fighting. Every single attack's so fast and precise that under normal eyes all you can see are the sparks coming out of the clashing weapon. Another sparks was heard on the clearing and the 2 warriors finally separated. On the right side of the clearing we find a tall man that looked to be in his early 20s with bright, blue eyes and spiky, blonde hair. This ninja also had jaw-length bangs framing either side of his face. His outfit consists of a standard Konoha Junin uniform with 2 bands on both of his sleeves, a green flak jacket, blue forehead protector, and blue sandals. This young man also has on a white, long, short sleeves haori that reaches his ankle. The haori was decorated by red flame-like motifs on the edges, with the kanji for 4th Hokage written vertically down the back. On his right hand was a tri-pronged kunai with yellow wrapping on the handle and strange seal-like mark written vertically on the wrapping. On the other side of him stood a man about the same height as the 4th Hokage. His attire consists of a black coat that cover everything except his steel-toed boot with a black hood and purple inside. He was also wearing a yellow mask with strange symbol on it and only 1 hole for the eye. What was most shocking itself was the man's eyes. It was red with a black pupil and 3 tomos circulating the pupil. The Sharingan. His weapon was a long steel chains with cuffs connecting to his wrists. "You're not half bad, 4th Hokage, but don't you have an injured wife to tend to?" mocked the masked man. Was it really a smart idea leaving your injured wife with 3 newborn in the forest alone? You can practically hear the sound of teeth grinding together from the 4th Hokage when the masked man said that. Especially since it was true. He did leave his wife with 3 newborn in the forest because he was trying to stop the nine tails attacked. Then this man just appeared out of nowhere and attacked him. Just who is this gut? He has the Sharingan which make it safe to assume he's an Uchiha, but I haven't seen anyone like this in the compound before. I sure hope Lord Third Cans everyone in the villages is okay. Not to mention Kushina and my 3 new child, thought Minato as he glared at the masked figure. Just who the hell is he? He seems familiar to me but I can't place where I met him before. Damn it. The masked man got back into his fighting stance, causing Minato to tense, but before he could do anything he heard a chuckled. The masked man was chuckling humorlessly. Well, it seems we won't be able to decide who won this fight, so until next time, fourth Hokage. The masked man gave a mocking bow before his body seemingly swirled out of existence. Not a second passed, 3 people stood in front of Minato, 3 people he immediately recognized. The first was Hiruzen Sarutobi, the 3rd Hokage. The one with white coat was his Anbu Captain Commander, Lion. The one wearing black coat was the Lieutenant, Eagle. The 3rd Hokage took a step forward to inspect Minato. "Minato, are you okay, and who was that man?" came the gentle voice of the 3rd Hokage. "I'm fine, but what about Kushina and my children?" exclaimed Minato as he tried to run toward the place he left Kushina and the newborns. The key word was tried because before can go any further the 3rd Hokage stepped in front of his path. "Calm down, Minato boy, they're safe. I sent one of my best medic Anbu toward her location and she reported to me not long ago that Kushina is stabilized and the newborns are as healthy as they can get," Hiruzen said with a warm smile before turning serious. "What we should focus on is who to seal the 9 tails into. It can't be Kushina, since she's still hurt and no one else in the village are strong enough to withstand the power of the strongest tail beast." Toward the ending his face took a somber look, most likely because he knew what the 4th Hokage was going to say. Aye, we have no choice. 2 of my children has to be Jinchurikis, stated Minato with an emotionless face, but Sarutobi can see in his sapphire eyes that Minato was heartbroken to use 2 of his children, but it was a logical choices. As the 2nd Hokage always told him, in order to be a good leader, one must make the toughest choice. Hiruzen always thought about how Minato resembled Tobirama, the 2nd Hokage. From their facial structure to the calm and calculating look during battle. Heck, even the 4th Hokage prized technique, the Flying God technique, was created by the 2nd Hokage, and was later perfected by the 4th. Getting off the train of thought, he looked at Minato confusedly, causing the 4th to raise his eyebrow. 2? What do you mean, Minato boy? Can't there only be 1 Jinchuriki for each tail beast? Asked the 3rd Hokage. Not with this technique I'm gonna use, Lord 3rd. It's called sealing technique. Imprisonment of the death god, and it is used to separate an entity into 2 forms of energy. 1 light, 1 dark. Then I'm going to use sealing technique. 8 trigrams to seal the beast into 2 of my child. But in order to use the imprisonment of the death god, I'll need 5 people with high reserve to help me because the technique drain away too much chakra, said Minato in an emotionless voice, but it is somber in the end. Are you sure about this, my boy? Asked the 3rd, receiving a nod from him. Placing his hand on the 4th shoulder, he ordered, "Go transport the 9 tails, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru toward Kushina location so we can seal this thing once and for all." After receiving another nod, Lord 3rd along with 2 Anbu hurried toward Kushina location in preparation for the sealing. "Sigh, I should get to work too," whispered Minato as he used his kunai to teleport to the seal he has on Gamabunta. "This is not going to end well," said Jiraiya as he, Tsunade, and Orochimaru were standing on top of Gamabunta since the other 2 summon received too much damage to continued. Now they are watching the 9 tails charging a tail beast bomb and has no idea how to stop it. "Damn what do we do? If that thing hit us we're goner," cried Tsunade. "And if we dodge the village will be destroyed," stated a very tired Orochimaru. "Damn, I prayed to Kami above that Minato would come," said Jiraiya as he got on his knee and held his hands out in a praying fashion. "Please to whatever deity above bring Minato here and I won't peeve on women ever again." He was interrupted by a yellow flash appearing on the toad head. It was Minato in all his dirty glory. "If they're over 60, finished Jiraiya as he got up and quickly engulfed Minato in an embrace. "Thank God, Minato, now we might survive." Minato just looked confused. What did I miss?" "Oh, nothing, just Jiraiya being an idiot as usual," stated a nonchalant Orochimaru before he got serious. "Now what do we do about the 9 tails?" "We are going to seal in 2 of my child using a sealing technique that required all of us and most of our chakra," stated Minato. "Now I'll teleport all of us and the 9 tails toward the location of the sealing. Get ready and take these," he said as he handed them each a tri-pronged kunai with inscription on them. After receiving a high From 3 of them Minato threw his tri-pronged kunai at the nine-tail, and once it hit he teleported to that kunai. Before the fox can do anything, he marked it with the seal and teleported all of them to the clearing where the sealing was surpassed to take place. Forest clearing. Kushina Uzumaki was not having a good day. Why, you ask? Well, this morning she ran out of ingredients to make her favorite dish, ramen, the food of the god. Then she was informed by the third Hokage to give birth in an unpopulated area far, far away from the village. The worst part of the day was when she finished giving birth to 3 adorable triplets, which hurt like hell. Some masked weirdo decided it was okay to come in and slaughter everyone except her and Minato. The masked man then decided to use Naruto, the oldest of the triplet, as a hostage. After some incident with exploding baby, don't ask, Minato teleported Naruto along with his sibling, Menma and Natsumi, to their safe house in the outskirt of town. Why did they have a house on the outskirt of town? Well, one day Kushina got very kinky and decided that she wouldn't have with Minato unless he built her a house in the middle of the forest for a whole month. Of course Minato, like any other man that has a wife as hot as Kushina, can't control his urges and order half of his Anbu Black Ops soldier to build a secluded house on the outskirt of town. Needless to say, after hearing the reason for why they were doing that, the female Anbu lost much respect for their Hokage that day, while the male population pitied their poor Hokage because they knew how hot their Hokage's wife was. Backing out of that train of thought, Kushina was then taken into a forest clearing where Minato would eventually fought the masked man, and got the 9 tails ripped off of her. Normally the process of forcefully removing a tail beast from someone would result in a host dieting, but she was an Uzumaki. And not just any Uzumaki, she was the heiress to the Uzumaki clan, so naturally she has strong life force that allow her to survive the removal of the 9 tail. Before the masked man could finish her for good, her beloved Minato came and stopped him before teleporting her to the safe house, or as she liked to call it, their house, since the place was built for that reason. She doesn't know why, but she always wanted to have a house in the forest so she can make love with her husband. Guess she was just kinky. Giggling to herself, she raised her empty wine glass and called out, "Anbu-san, can I get more Bacchus?" One of the Anbu with a dog mask quickly came to the 4th Hokage's wife and poured more Bacchus into the glass. Ah, that hit the spot. Thank you, Kakashi-kun. The Anbu apparently named Kakashi Sai before taking off his mask, which revealed another mask, but this one was a black face mask that only covered his neck up to his nose. He wore his hidden leaf headband slanted so it would cover his left eye. The young Anbu with gravity-defying silver hairs and was wearing a regular Anbu uniform just sighed at his master's wife. "Kushina-senpai, you know that the Anbu protocol stated hat while in duty no one can reveal my identity," sighed an exasperated Kakashi, like he had said this before, which he probably did. Kushina obviously didn't care, just wave him off. Forget about protocol. Beside, everyone in this room know your real identity anyway. Kakashi sighed again and just took out an orange book out of his weapon pouch to read it, but was quickly swiped away by a certain redhead. You know this book is actually pretty good. If you delete all the smut, it's actually a great adventure novel. And the smut scene are pretty useful too. Kushina turned into a certain page before giving it to Kakashi. "Do you think Minato-kun would like that idea?" asked Kushina as she waited for Kakashi's reaction. The poor man blushed bright red before a geyser of bloods erupted from his nose, launching him toward the wall, crashed, then knocked out with a perverted smile on his face. The reaction caused Kushina to throw a fit of giggles before resuming her wine. "Sai, do you really have to tease him like that, Kushina-sensei?" asked an annoyed Anbu. This particular Anbu wasn't wearing the mask, but you can easily tell she's a trained assassin just by the way she walked into the room. Fluid like a jungle cat and agile as a gazelle, eyes checking the surrounding for anything to use to her advantage. The women, about the same height as Kakashi, has heart-shaped face and long wavy light brown eyes that you want to run your hand through. Combined with a killer figure and D-cup, she was one of the most sought-after women in all of the Hidden Leaf. And her name was Akane Kurama, a member of the famed Kurama clan that was known for their ability to make illusion into reality. "Oh, I'm sorry for knocking out your boyfriend, Akane-chan," giggles Kushina as she took another sip from her wine. "For the last time, Sendai, he is not my boyfriend, we just work together," sighed an exasperated Akane, not unlike Kakashi. Sure, now where are my babies?" said Kushina as she gave Akane the wine glass. Can you refill it, my dear? Akane just sighed again before walking off the room and into the kitchen to get Kushina the wine. Honestly, this was like the time when she was a young genin and got Kushina to be her sensei. I mean, who wouldn't want the Leaf Red Death to be their sensei? Kushina was very well known throughout the Elemental Nation for the way she quickly dealt with her opponent. Usually the last thing her victim sees are her beautiful red hair before they go to the realm of the Shinigami. Now what was she thinking? Oh, that right, how ecstatic she was at having Kushina as a sensei, but that ecstatically only last a week because all she has them do were cleaning up her house and getting her drinks. And when they train, she would beat them until they pass out and woke up in a hospital. According to Kushina, cleaning the house builds up stamina and being beaten up helped them bond as a team. Releasing another sigh, she went to get the Hokage's wife another drink. "Yugao-chan, where are my babies?" shouted Kushina as she desperately looked around until she saw a young woman with purple hairs came out from another room. "Right here, Kushina-sensei," said the young lady as she handed 2 bundles of clothes that surround the young children, while she held another one on her arm. This woman was none other than Yugao Izuki, an Anbu who goes by the name Kat. Yugao is a young woman with straight, purple hair reaching down to her waist, warm brown eyes, and a shade of red lipstick. As an Anbu member, Yugao wears a porcelain mask resembling a cat with 3 red stripes, 1 vertical stripe on the forehead and 2 horizontal stripes, 1 on each cheek. She also wears the standard Anbu uniform, consisting of black and gray armor, metal arm guards and a katana strapped to her back. She has the signature Anbu tattoo on her right shoulder. Wiki, Yugao_Izuki. "Ah, thank you, Yugao-chan," thanked Kushina as she held 2 of her newborns, Menma and Natsumi. Menma is a small baby boy with tuft of blonde hairs on his scalp and a sparkling sky blue eyes like his father. He also has 6 whisker mark on his cheeks. 3 on each, kind of resembling a fox. Looking at him now, Kushina knew that Menma will grow up and look just like his father. Natsumi was a small baby girl with tuft of red hairs on her scalp and an amethyst-colored eyes. She will most likely grow up to be a carbon copy of her. After inspecting the 2 babies on her arms, Kushina turned into the baby in the arm of her student and couldn't help but frown. The baby, Naruto was his name, has tuft of blonde hair, but unlike his father and Menma, Naruto's blonde hairs are shinier and golden, like pure gold. His eyes were like the mix of both hers and Minato's eyes because they are neither sapphire blue or amethyst purple. Naruto's eyes are sea green. The reason why she frowned was not because she wanted to, but it was subconsciously. She doesn't know why, but she loved Menma and Natsumi more than Naruto. Maybe in her mind she blamed Naruto for the attack on the hidden leaf because he was the hostage. Peefed, that absurd, she couldn't blame the invasion of the hidden leaf on a baby that has no common sense. Could she? Shaking her head, she picked up her drink that Akane gave to her and was about to drink it to forget about her crazy notion. Before Kushina could, a loud bang was heard and the door busted open, causing dust clouds to pick up, making Kushina along with Akane and Yugao froze. When the dust cleared away, they could see 3 people. One was a short old man with a staff standing in a pose, while the other were 2 Anbu wearing cloaks, 1 white and 1 black. They were kneeling on the ground with one foot up, like how you kneeled before a king. The old guy were the 3rd Hokage, while the other were 2 high-ranking Anbu. "Kushina, I'm here to save you," said Hiruzen slowly as he gazed at the scene before him. They're sitting on a beach chair were Kushina, holding 2 newborns and sipping a drink on her wine. Standing beside her was Yugao with Naruto in her arms, cuddling him protectively. Sitting on a chair next to the wall connecting to the kitchen was a wide-eyed and gaping Akane with a wine bottle in her hand, looking as if she was going to drink from it, and leaning on one of the walls were Kakashi with his porno book reading eagerly. "Wah, did we came to the right place?" asked Sarutobi as he looked around. "Positive, sir, there were no illusion outside or inside the house, and I personally knew this house because Lord Fourth asked me to build it for him, sir," stated Lion emotionlessly. Sweat-dropping Sarutobi glanced at the 4 gaping occupant of the house again. What are you doing, Kushina? Shouldn't you be healing?" asked a still confused Hiruzen. To answer Hiruzen's question, all Kushina did was take a long sip of her wind, making sure to take her time, so she can annoy the 3rd Hokage more. Sure enough, Hiruzen gained a tick mark and was about to tell her something, but she cut him off. "I am healing Lord Third. Yugao-chan healed me and gave me some chakra replenishing pills while Akane-chan bought me this lovely chair to relax in, she said with an innocent smile which caused everyone in the room to sweat drop. Hiruzen was going to say something but a loud crash interrupted him, causing him to sweat drop again. How many times have I been interrupted today? He questioned himself mentally. What that Lord Third? Asked Akane quite loudly. As she got on her feet and stood by Kushina. Kakashi did the same thing. Hiruzen just sighed before continuing. That was Minato teleporting the 9 tails here so he can seal it. Now Kushina, do you have enough chakra to use the chakra chain? Asked an agitated Hiruzen, and who could blame him? A giant demon was at their doorstep. Who could be calm about that? The 2 Anbu that came with the 3rd Hokage quickly vanished, intending to help their 4th Hokage in subduing the beast. Kushina's eyes widened for a second in shock before they were replaced with fear, and tears started to form in her eyes. Seeing her sensei like this and knowing the reason why, Akane wrapped her arms around Kushina in an embrace. Are you okay, Kushina-sensei? Asked Akane. That was it. After Akane finished speaking, tears gushed out of her eyes as she cried and hugged Akane back. Not being very good with emotion, Kakashi went outside to help his sensei in attempt to hold the beast down. Hiruzen just sigh again. Kushina, I knew this is difficult for you, but we need 2 of your children to be the host the 9 tails, said Sarutobi softly as he hung his head low. Today was a very sad day for him too. The village that he fought his whole life to protect it was being destroyed by the tail beast, and now he just received news that his wife, the love of his life, the one he cherished above all else, was died. Dies protecting Kushina. He want nothing more to do than find whoever cause of this to suffer. Suffer and died. The 3rd Hokage wanted revenge, but he knew his village come first. After realizing that she was not the only one that was hurt today and a minute to compose herself, Kushina raised her head from Akane's chested and with puffed, red eyes stared at Hiruzen. I'm sorry Lord Third, I was being selfish, I just don't want my children to suffer like me, cried Kushina as more tears leaked from her eyes, causing Akane to tighten her embrace. It not your fault, Kushina, I would have reacted the same way you did if I was in that position, stated the somber Sarutobi. Now let's go, we need your help to subdue the 9 tails before sealing it away. Fine, Yugao-chan. Akane-chan, take care of Naru-chan. We are going to seal the 9 tails into Menma and Natsumi, stated Kushina emotionlessly, but her eyes tells them that she was close to break down. Hi, sensei, said the 2 female. Let's go Lord Third, whispered Kushina as she walked toward the door. Saying nothing, Hiruzen followed her. When Kushina and Hiruzen went outside, what they saw was unexpected. The whole clearing looked like a war zone with everyone fighting. Jiraiya was hopping around in his sage mode, with the 2 elder toads on his shoulders, trying to land a solid hit on the 9 tails, but was proving difficult. Orochimaru was swinging around his sword trying to slice the fox in half, while Tsunade was hitting the fox with chakra-enhanced punch. It was a futile attempt since the 9 tails seemed to just brush them off and its wound just regenerate almost instantaneously after being hit. Minato flashed in and out as he tried to deal some damage to the fox. Kakashi and the 2 Anbu was beside the outer wall of the house as they lay severely damaged but not life-threatening. Kushina quickly focused her chakra to use one of her most famous technique. The chakra chains. Almost immediately 9 white glowing chains made of pure chakra sprouted from the ground and wrapped themselves on the 9 tails. RRRRRRRRRRRRSSSSSS. Roared the 9 tails as it tried to break the chain, but it was futile. Seeing that the 9 tail were subdued, the 4 ninja appear before Kushina and Hiruzen looking quite tired. Tsunade quickly ran up to the downed soldier to heal them, while Jiraiya ran up and engulfed Kushina in an embrace as he cried comically. Oh, thank you my dear sweat stepdaughter, without you we might die of exhaustion, said Jiraiya in between tears, causing everyone else to sweat drops. Just one moment later he was beside Minato, giving him a one-arm hug. My dear Minato, I couldn't have been prouder of you than on the day you decided to marry this goddess. She's a keeper. He finished with a thumb up, causing everyone once again to sweat drops at his antic. The 2 frog on his shoulder slapped him on the head, causing Jiraiya to fell flat on the ground. You fool, we are dealing with the 9 tails and you decided to act like that, screamed the green toad as he smacked Jiraiya again, making him groan. Ignoring Jiraiya and the two elder toads, Minato engulfed Kushina in a loving hug before breaking apart. "Are you okay, Kushina? Did you know the plan?" he asked, knowing that Kushina wouldn't like it. However, Kushina just nodded with tears escaping her left eye. "I don't like it, but I have come to terms with it. But make sure one thing, Minato, make sure the villagers treat Menma and Natsumi as a hero," she practically cried. Minato wiped the tears away with his thumbs before giving her another hug. "I promise," he whispered into her ear. Breaking the embraced Kushina gave Minato the two-child. "Go and seal the fox," she murmured while closing her eyes, unable to bear the pain of having to see her own children have a demon sealed inside of them. Minato, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Orochimaru, and Hiruzen got into a pentagram formation with the 9 tails in the middle. They all did 40 hand seals in an exact same time before slamming their hands on the ground while exclaiming, "Sealing technique. Imprisonment of the death god." Seals marks suddenly form where they slam their hand and more seals began to form leading to the 9 tails. The seals from 5 different directions started to appear on the 9 tails, causing it to roar in pain and anger. But also sorrow? The black seals on the 9 tails suddenly glowed white before 2 spectral images of the 9 tails appear. Quickly Minato dashed toward Menma and Natsumi and put him hand on both of their stomach. "Sealing technique. 8 trigram," he exclaimed as black swirl-like seals appear on the 2 newborns' stomach. "Seal," he shouted, causing the spectral images of the 9-tailed to get absorbed into the 2 newborn stomach. Falling to his knee in exhaustion, Minato blacked out, never hearing the cries from Kushina. That was the day that 2 new Jinchuriki was born. At that days everyone celebrated and called Menma and Natsumi the hero. All have forgotten about Naruto, who stayed at the crib in the hospital all days alone while everyone else were partying. No one noticed him except one person. The man stood tall, eyes scanning the entire village. His azure blue overcoat billowing in the wind as he put on a thoughtful look as he gazed at a certain hospital. Suddenly thunderclouds appear and thunder was sound throughout the village. Lightning struck where he was standing, causing smokes and dust to be uplifted, but no trace of the man's existence was found. The Hidden Leaf Village is the hidden village of the Land of Fire. As the village of one of the 5 great shinobi countries, Konohagakure, its original name, has a cage as its leader known as the Hokage, of which there have been 4 in its history. Konoha resides deep within a forest at the base of a mountain known as the Hokage Monument, which has the faces of all those who have taken the office of Hokage engraved on it. While generally seen as the most powerful of the ninja villages, Konoha has enjoyed many years of relative peace and stability. That peace was of course destroyed, as a wise man always says, nothing can last forever. October 9th was the day that the peace in the Hidden Leaf Village was disturbed. On October 9th, the beast known as the 9-Tails Fox was unleashed onto Konoha by a masked man, with one purpose and one purpose alone. That was to wipe out the Hidden Leaf Village off the map. His plan would have succeeded if not for the interference of a certain man. The 4th Hokage. Countless stories had been made of how the 4th slayed the fox with his mighty power. Some folklore even said that the 4th Hokage teleported the great beast onto the sea, drowning it to death. None has been true, however, but one did come close. The story of how the 4th Hokage sealed the 9-tailed beast away in an alternative dimension where it can't bother anyone ever again. The real story, however, was none of that. The real story was that the 4th Hokage separated the beast into 2 pieces. One of light, another of dark. He then sealed the light half of the 9 tails into his daughter and the dark entity into his son. After the whole incident with the 9 tails were over, the 4th Hokage announced to the whole village, whom none of the citizen and only a handful of ninjas passed on, that in able to get rid of the 9 tails he had to sealed it into his 2 childs, and said that thanks to them the village was still standing. After that little announcement, the villagers along with the soldiers consider the 2 child of the 4th Hokage as the savior of the Hidden Leaf. 5 years after that horrific disaster was not one full of grief and sadness but one of joy and celebration. October 9th was the day huge festivals were set up in honor of the defeat of the 9 tails, but also to celebrate the birth of the 2 saviors of Konoha. The streets of Konoha, after being rebuilt, couldn't livelier as hundreds upon hundreds of villagers and tourists walked the street to enjoy the booth littered all around Konoha. Everywhere around the village people were celebrating, but the real party was at the Namikaze compound, which was only one clan house, where Menma and Natsumi were celebrating their 5th birthday. All the guests were of high class since all of them held power in the politic world. One of them was the head of the Uchiha clan, Fugaku Uchiha. He was now seated on one of the chair, with a frown on his face, in the ballroom sipping his wine. Fugaku Uchiha was a jonin from Konoha and head of the Uchiha clan, as well as the Konoha military police force. Fugaku was strong and indifferent guy that held his village and clan safety above all else, but was also kind-hearted and caring to those he loved like his wife, Makoto Uchiha, his sons Itachi Uchiha and Sasuke Uchiha, and his daughter, Sayuri Uchiha. Fugaku had short, black hair that reached to his shoulders and onyx-colored eyes, with visible creases below them made more pronounced whenever he adopted a stern look, something that Itachi inherited from him. He wore a simple kimono with gray pants which had the clan symbol on the back when not on duty. While on duty, he wore the standard flak jacket, along with a black shirt with the Konoha military police force symbol on the shoulders, shin guards and a black, open front apron with white diamonds on the bottom. Sitting next to him were his 2 sons, Itachi and Sasuke, each wearing an emotionless expression. Well, Itachi was being emotionless while his little brother was just trying to look cool. Itachi Uchiha was a prodigy of Konoha's Uchiha clan and only interest was to protect his family and his village, especially his little sister, since he knew that she would become beautiful as their mother one day, and with how hormonal teenage boys are, he had to act like the protective big brother he was all the time. Itachi had onyx eyes under which were long, pronounced tear troughs. He had jet black hair that was pulled back in a low ponytail and his face was framed with center-parted bangs that extended to his chin. The ponytail and bangs grow longer over the years. His casual clothes consisted of a black shirt with the Uchiha clan symbol on the back, bandages around his ankles, and black sandals. He wore tan pants with a weapons pouch strapped to his back. When on duty, he would wear the standard Anbu uniform complete with arm guards, a flak jacket, and a porcelain mask which was fashioned to resemble a weasel with a dark, triangular marking on top. Right now, however, he was wearing a pair of dress pants and a white long sleeves button-down shirt with a black tuxedo on top. To him, a party was a way of showing their clan strength and he needed to wear his best dress, no matter how much his mother begged him not to. Sasuke was a 5-year-old boy, the same age as the triplets of the 4th Hokage, that has onyx black eyes and hair with a blue tint to it. His hair is spiky in the back, and he has chin-length bangs that parted down to frame both sides of his face. He was wearing a simple black shirt with the Uchiha insignia on his right. Sasuke was also wearing a pair of black dress pant and a pair of black dress shoe. With all the black clothing, one would assume he was an emo, as well as the fact that he was always scowling. Currently he was sitting by his brother trying to look uninterested, but it was proving difficult since his little 5-year-old mind was full of curiosity. "Sasuke, stop being like big brother Itachi and come with me," stated a new voice. She was about an inch shorter than Sasuke, the same age as him, with long, raven hair with glacier blue tips reaching her mid-back and an onyx black eyes that all Uchiha seems to possess. Right now this girl was wearing a blue dress blouse. This person was Sayuri Uchiha, the heiress of the Uchiha clan, as well as twin siblings of Sasuke Uchiha. "I want to look for Natsumi, so we can celebrate her birthday together," cried Sayuri as he tugged Sasuke out of his seat, causing him to scowl at her. "No sis, can't you see that I'm busy," whispered Sasuke, as he didn't want to make a scene and embarrass the Uchiha clan. His sister doesn't seem to care because she continued to talk quite loudly. "Busy doing what? All I saw was you brooding like daddy and big brother," she stated, causing people within hearing distance to chuckle at what she said. Seeing that people were laughing at him made him blush, and doesn't want to embarrass himself and more. Sasuke dragged Sayuri away, to look for Natsumi, anything really to get away from the first floor. Sasuke hoped that Menma wasn't with Natsumi because he was an arrogant asshole, who liked to boast about himself and how he was the son of the 4th Hokage to anyone willing to listen. It didn't help that the villager and ninjas adored him, so they did pretty much anything he asked them to do. Now Natsumi was someone he can stand. Even though she acted crazy sometime, he is a 5-year-old boy and don't know about women, she still has a kind heart and doesn't seem stuck up most of the time. While he was thinking, somehow he and his sister managed to reach the second floor and saw Natsumi and Menma talking in hushed voices near their room. Suddenly Menma punched the wall to his right, before storming off with a visible anger on his face. When he saw Sasuke and Sayori, Menma scowled even more before walking past right them and went downstairs. Turning toward Natsumi, they saw that she has noticeable tears on her eyes. Seeing her best friend, Natsumi quickly wiped the tear off before walking to greet them. "Hi Sasuke, Sayori, glad that you can make it," said Natsumi with a cracked voice. "What happened Natsumi, what did Menma says to you?" asked Sayori as she engulfed her best friend in a tight hug. Breaking the hug, Natsumi wiped some tears that was left behind from her eyes before giving the sibling a sad smile. "It's nothing, just the usual argument we have." Deciding to let it slide right now, Sayori went with Natsumi downstairs, while Sasuke decided that he was going to go look for some food to eat. When they got downstairs, they immediately noticed a redhead and a raven-hair woman talking excitedly and giggling every now and then. The redhead was Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze. She had a slender but feminine build, fair skin, violet eyes, fiery red hair, a common trait among the members of the Uzumaki clan, that fell down to her ankles with strands that framed both sides of her face and a black clip that parts her hair to the left, keeping it out of her eyes. Kushina was the wife of the fourth Hokage and mother to Naruto, Menma, and Natsumi. Right now she was wearing a violet dress, the same shade as her eyes, that hug her beautiful hourglass figure. The dress was a V-neck, so it gave you a nice view of her D-cup bust. Next to her was Makoto Uchiha, wife of Fugaku Uchiha, and one of the few Uchiha alive that doesn't act like an emo. Makoto was a fair-skinned woman with long, straight black hair with bangs hanging on either side of her face to roughly frame her cheeks and black eyes. She was wearing a midnight blue dress that has one strap. Like Kushina, the dress hugged her figure perfectly but wasn't a V-neck since Makoto was very self-conscious when it come to her body. "Mom," both girls shouted, catching the attention of both beauty. Kushina and Makoto both gave their own child a hug. "Oh hi there Natsumi, enjoying your birthday so far?" asked Kushina with a warm smile on her face. "Yeah, it pretty good," said Natsumi with a smile, but Kushina could easily tell that it was forced. Decided that she shouldn't worry about such thing, especially on her kid's birthday. She grabbed Natsumi's right hand before taking her somewhere. "Let's go to the ballroom, sweetheart." "Makoto, you coming?" said Kushina, smile not leaving her face. "Sure, let go Sayori," said Makoto as she quickly grabbed Sayori's arm and dragged her to the ballroom, completely ignoring her daughter cried to let her go. All in all, October 10th was the day where everyone party. From the most common merchant to the high and mighty lords. Everyone celebrates this day as the day the Nine Tails was slay, all except one child. Hokage Monument. Sitting on the third Hokage's stone face was a 5-year-old boy about average height. The 5-year-old has a short golden blonde hairs that was cut military style, tan skin, and a pair of sea green orbs like eye. He was currently wearing a pair black cargo pant with an orange t-shirt that has the Namikaze insignia on the right shoulders. The Namikaze insignia was a black circle with white outline. Inside the circle was 3 red kunai connecting together in the center. FS24, F, 2007. The 9th of April 315, insignia _V_by_. This person was Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, the eldest child of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze, and unlike the rest of the people in this village, he was not celebrating. Why, you asked? Well, it was very simple, because once again, like every year, everyone, even his parent, has forgotten about him. They all celebrate the birthday of his brother and sister but not his. Why? What did I do to deserve this? This always happen every year. My parent completely forget about me, even though I was the firstborn, mourned solely as tears started to cascading from his eyes as he thought more about how different his parent treat him compared to Natsumi and Menma. As long as can remember, his parent always treated Menma and Natsumi differently than him. His siblings get shower with praise whenever they do something while his parent barely acknowledge his existence. Natsumi and Menma already started on their shinobi training, trained personally by their parent, 2 of the strongest ninja in the village, their godparent, Tsunade and Jiraiya, 2 of the legendary Sannin, and Kakashi, the copy ninja, and also the youngest person to ever become an S-rank ninja. While he didn't even know how to unlock his, he tried to get them to help him. They would always says that they are busy training his siblings, and whenever he asked them why, their reply would always be that his sibling need to learn how to control the power of the nine tails. He also tried asking his godparent to help, but their reply was the same as his parent. His parent and godparent was not the only one who treated him this way, his sibling also treated him like that. His brother, Menma, would always bragged about how awesome his power was and always told him that Naruto doesn't belong in the family, because of how weak he was. It happened so often that Naruto started to believe him. I mean, everyone in his family was strong, and his siblings has great potential, and then there was him, the black sheep of the Namikaze clan. His sister was almost as bad as Menma. Natsumi would ignore him, and whenever he asked her something she would either continue to ignore him or run away. The villager wasn't helping his self-esteem much either. Whenever his sibling walk around the village they would get praised for absolutely nothing, while whenever he walk around the village they would just ignore him, or treat him like a peasant. It seemed even the villager think he wasn't part of the Namikaze family. With that final thought he cried some more, which wasn't really a good idea because a large thunderstorm suddenly appeared above him and rain started to pour down on him. Looking up he saw that it was raining and cried even harder. It seemed that even the heaven were against him. He cried until he passed out from the cold, but he could have sworn he heard a melodic voice of a female saying, "The heaven does not hate you, my chosen one," quite the opposite actually. Unknown location, unknown time. Opening his eyes, Naruto was met with a strange sight. Instead of white ceiling of the hospital he saw a dark sky with thundercloud hovering above. Every so often he could see flashes of electricity sparkling in the cloud. Looking around wherever he was, Naruto saw that he was in a room of some sort made entirely out of pure, shiny marbles. He was in an electric blue bed made out of marble. His body was covered by a sea green, silky blanket that although looked quite thin was very warm. The room was about the same size as his room back in the Namikaze mansion. Thinking about the Namikaze mansion caused him to froze. His parent must be worried sick about him and are probably panicking trying to find him right now. That thought almost made him laugh. His parent would have probably never noticed his absence. They were probably still celebrating Menma and Natsumi birthday, and if it was morning, they would be teaching his sibling new ninja trick. He clutches the blanket so hard that it turned white and blood started to pour out. His parent cared more about his sibling than him, so much that they would completely miss the fact that their eldest child was missing, that just so like them. Black wind started to circulate around him, causing his hairs to flies up and swaying. The blanket started to billowed uncontrollably and would have been blown off if Naruto's grip wasn't so tight. "You have so much anger, young one," said a calm and powerful voice. Naruto turned around and faced the owner of the voice. Naruto was shocked at who the voice belonged to. It was a man. A handsome young man about 25-year-old, about 6 feet 5 with tan skin and deep glacier blue eyes that held tremendous, uncontrollable power and even warmth. The man has pale blonde hair with blue tip. His attire consisted of a blue overcoat with gold outline that reaches his pelvis before standing out in the end. Zane from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. The man also has black form-fitting jeans and a black combat boots. On his hip was a sword with blue and gold handle in an indicate patterns. The crossguard of the sword was in a shape of a blue dragon opening its mouth. He couldn't see the blade entirely, but he saw that the chap was glacier blue. Naruto could sense the man aura even though he has no practice in using chakra whatsoever. This man held an aura that called forth respect to him. The aura also held power like Naruto had ever seen before, plus authority, demanding anyone to do what he told them. To Naruto it was like he was face to face with God. He didn't know how true his statement was. "WH, who are you?" stuttered the frightened Naruto. The man just smiled at the kid. "It's polite to introduce yourself before asking for someone else's name, young one," said the mysterious man, an amusing smile never leaving his face. He seemed to enjoy the anxiety that was building up in Naruto. My," stuttered Naruto before quickly getting a hold of himself and cough into his hand. "My name is Naruto Namikaze. What is your name, sir?" stated Naruto professionally, but anyone can see the fear he has in his eyes. The mysterious man seemed amused by his antic and gave a short, low chuckle before replying, Nice to meet you Naruto, now my name is. He spread his arms out in a dramatic manner before giving Naruto a bow. My name is Demetrius, the elemental god of lightning. As he said this, cloud seems to form on the roofless building and thunder was heard roaring in the sky, causing Naruto to yelp in fear. Quickly waving his hand, the clouds began to disperse, leaving a beautiful cloudless night sky. Sorry about that, but I am overdramatic sometime. Naruto just stared dumbfounded. Disbelief was cleared on his face. Fear was also there of the possibility that Demetrius was indeed a god. Lord Demetrius, may I ask why I'm here?" muttered the shocked blonde as he gestured to the room. Giving Naruto a playful smile, Demetrius said, "Oh, don't worry, I'm not like the other gods, so you don't have to be formal with me." This caused Naruto to relax a bit, but it was short-lived since Demetrius's playful expression turned serious. "And before I answer your question, I would like to know, why were you outside when the storm occurred?" asked the god of lightning. Gulping at seeing the serious face of a god, Naruto muttered, "I didn't know there was a storm." It was a rather stupid reply in Demetrius' opinion, but hey, the kid couldn't be older than 5. "Be as it may, why weren't you partying? I assume it was your birthday," stated Demetrius with his arm crossed. Naruto flinched before answering, "It was my birthday, but I don't feel like partying," mumbled the blonde ninja wannabe. Seeing the sad look on the young blonde face and the fact that he seemed to be close to crying, Demetrius used his lightning magic to see the electrical pulses inside Naruto's brain, enabling him to see his memory. What he saw sure made him pity Naruto and become enraged at Naruto's parent. No parent should be ignoring their child under any circumstances, and not one as young as Naruto. Quickly shaking his head, Demetrius went to sit down next to Naruto on the bed, causing the young blonde's body to stiffen, and wrapped one of his arm around Naruto's shoulder. "I see, now to answer your question. I was riding on my chariot when I saw you in the middle of a thunderstorm alone, with a high fever, so I did the logical thing and brought you to my realm to fix you," stated Demetrius like he was telling the weather. The next thing he knew, Naruto was wrapping him in a tight embrace, repeating, "Thank you," with tears streaming down from his eyes. "No problem, young one. Now would you mind telling me why you were there alone?" Even though he already knew, Demetrius wanted Naruto's trust, so what's a better way to gain someone's trust than make them relive painful memories, right? Right after he said those words, Naruto started to tear up again. Wrong. Hey, it wasn't his fault. How can you expect a god that lives most of his immortal life in solitude surpass to know human emotions? Don't worry, young one, you don't have to tell me if you don't want to. Naruto just shook his little head before replying, "No, it's just that my parent ignored me again. This happened every day. They would always train with Menma and Natsumi, but when I asked they would just ignore me or come out with an excuse." By now tears were streaming from his eyes. Seeing this, the lightning god wrapped one arm around the young blonde, giving him a manly hug. "I want to get stronger so my family won't ignore me anymore," whispered Naruto with determination in his eyes. It has been such a long time since Demetrius seen such determination in someone so young. Not since Aurelius. Quickly shaking the thought of his first and most powerful student out of his head, Demetrius smiled, finally making up his mind. Now all he need was for Naruto to accept the proposition, at Naruto causing said boy to become confused. "Well, Naruto boy, would you do me the honor of helping you reach your goal?" asked Demetrius with a gentle but serious face. "You would actually teach me something?" asked an astonished 5-year-old. "Of course I would, it would have been a waste to see such great potential being wasted," stated the lightning god. "So do you accept?" "I accept, master." That was the day a legend was born. The day that started a path of young Naruto life. Whether he chose to protect the world from all evil entities or destroy it because of the neglection and resentment he had to endure. It will be decided from here on out. Unknown place. Would you have believed someone if they tell you that above them was a giant mansion built for God and his son? Would you have believed him? Obviously not, and the same could be said for the villager of the hidden leaf. If you asked them that question, they would either look at you weirdly or replied that God doesn't exist in this world. Well, those people would be incorrect. High above the ground of Konoha was a huge mansion made completely out of marble. That wasn't the most shocking part. In fact, the most shocking part was that the mansion was on top of clouds. Yes, cloud, the gas in the air that has no real shape and can be easily break through, and yet was able to lift a massive mansion built for 3,000 people. The mansion was rather simple with 3-story. The first story consisted of a pool in the front and a training ground in the back. Surrounding the resident was a beautiful garden made out of the rarest and most beautiful flowers and plant in not only this world but several other dimensions. The second floor consisted of several bedrooms that was the size of a small house, with bathroom in them, and a large kitchen filled to the brim with appliances but no ingredient or food whatsoever. The reason for it was simple: the room was heavily enchanted by the strongest magic ever made, so that whatever the user desire will automatically be summoned. In the middle of the second floor was a ballroom the size of a temple. The third floor was filled with bedroom and guest room but hardly ever been used. Even though the place could easily house a few thousands of people, it was occupied by only 2 people, and they were currently in the training area. Training zone. A male figure standing at 5 feet 3 was hunched over, panting heavily. His blonde hair was a mess and sweat pouring down on his face. You can tell by the state of his clothes, which was a simple long-sleeve black shirt with golden armor on his shoulder. He was also wearing a loose black pant, with gold trim at the edge. He looked like he just walked through a tornado and crashed into mud because everywhere you looked there were scratches and dirt mark. His shoulder armor was blackened and was missing several pieces. This person was none other than Naruto Namikaze, the firstborn of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Namikaze, and let's not forget apprentice of the god of lightning, Demetrius. Right now he was glaring at the person across from him. That person, compared to Naruto, looked perfectly fine. This figure was currently wearing a dark blue overcoat with a black button-up shirt. He was also wearing a pair of black dress pants, none of which has any damage. This person was Demetrius, the god of lightning and master of Naruto Namikaze. Seeing the glare from his apprentice caused him to smile. His apprentice has changed so much after 5 years of learning from him. No longer was Naruto a weak and frail little kid that cried every day. No, now he was a powerful warrior that could defeat most genin and maybe some low-ranking chunin. Lightning God. 120mm black lightning cannon, cried Naruto as he held out his hand together. A beam of highly concentrated black lightning with black outline shot out of his hand and headed toward Demetrius. Said God just smirked before raising one of his hand. A yellow light-like matter gathered on his hand before forming an oval shield, made entirely of light, enough to protect him from the beam. The lightning magic crashed into the shield, causing lighting to scatter everywhere, but the shield did not waver, not even the slightest. After a while Naruto started to lose control of the spell and the lightning held in his hand exploded in his face, sending him backward, and crashing into a nearby tree. Seeing the effect of the spell, his student caused Demetrius to laugh uncontrollably. USTI, LL nay. More practice, bellowed the lightning god as he was holding onto his stomach. It was just too funny. Then suddenly he was hit by a powerful beam of light, sending him crashing to the ground, comically. Looking at what did this to him, ignoring the stinging pain he has on his right shoulder, he saw his student barely standing on his 2 feet smirking at the state his master was in now. Getting an idea of what happened, Demetrius turned to where Naruto was just at and was not surprised to see another Naruto, although this one was constantly flashing rainbow color throughout his body, walking toward the one that just hit him. Getting up while dusting dirt off his dress, Demetrius smiled at Naruto. I'm impressed, you managed to trick me with a thought projection this long. You're getting better each day, my boy, implied Demetrius with a smile. Naruto smiled back as the two of them fused together. Well, I got a great teacher, so thank you, father, said Naruto as he went toward Demetrius, his adopted father. Hearing Naruto caused Demetrius to smile before wrapping one arm around his son's shoulder and dragged them to the living room. Now then, that enough practice, let's go grab a bite to eat, exclaimed Demetrius quite loudly. Naruto just smiled nervously at his father's antic. Demetrius was a very fun and caring guy that rarely gets serious, unless the situation called for it. But he does have a tendency to be very excited about food. Sometime he would wonder why his father enjoyed food so much, since he has told the young blonde before that since Demetrius was an immortal he doesn't need nutrients to be alive. Quickly shaking his thought out of a rather weird characteristic of his father, Naruto remember what happened for the past 5 years. Ever since his 5th birthday, Naruto has been training with Demetrius. He would stay with Demetrius in his mansion almost every day, but still has to return home not long after, not that his family ever notice. Speaking of his biological family, his parents were still ignoring him, but they seem to be paying more attention to him since last month. Heck, his father and mother even offered to train him alongside his sibling, but after a glare and crude remark, Naruto stormed out of the room, never noticing his mother face tearing up. His sister seemed to be a bit clingy ever since they started their first year at the academy, Naruto having absolutely no idea why. She used to run away from him, and now she can't help but held him close to her every time they see each other. Like his adopted father always said, you can never understand female, especially the redhead. How he knew that, Naruto didn't want to know. Finally, the last member of the Namikaze family, Menma. Menma still treated him the same way he did when they were 5. Except now he was even more vicious, insulting him when their parent was in the room. However, unlike before where he'll run away crying, Naruto just ignored him and continued to do whatever it was that he was doing. Without even realizing it, Naruto and Demetrius arrived at the bar. Quickly taking a seat, Naruto held out his hand, and almost instantaneously a wineglass filled with Chardonnay arrived in his grasp. Taking a sip, Naruto released a huge sigh, already feeling the affect of his heavenly body magic healing him. You know, Naruto, you need to work on the lightning god slayer magic, commented Demetrius as he was drinking wine from the bottle itself. Seeing a glare directed at him, he quickly added, I mean, you are pretty good at it. But compared to your heavenly body magic or your elemental magic, well, it's like comparing a mouse to a rhinoceros in terms of physical strength. Averted his eye and taking another sip of his wine, Naruto sighed again. It was true, comparing to his heavenly body magic or his elemental magic, the lightning god slayer magic was very weak, and that's what upsetting him the most. According to his father, there are another world from a different dimension where instead of people using chakra-based technique, they use another sort of energy that was much more potent. Magic. At first he was very skeptical of magic existence, but after Demetrius pointed out that he was a god, Naruto quickly relent. He also learned that in order to become a mage, practitioner of the magical arts, one must be able to absorb an energy from the air called Aethernano. Naruto was disappointed when his father stated that Aethernano can only be found in Earthland and formerly Aeolus, but it was quickly disintegrated when he also mentioned that Naruto can use magic by absorbing nature chakra. That was what they had work on for the first 2 years. Just meditating until he was able to absorb nature chakra, which took him about a month. Surprisingly, sucking energy from thin air was not the hard part. The hard part was turning nature energy into Aethernano, then transferring it to his arcane, which is an artificial Aethernano storage, created by Demetrius, that was placed in between his lungs and under his heart. To learn how to do that like it was second nature, took a year and a half. Nearly 2 years worth of meditation, but finally Naruto was able to collect nature chakra and convert it to Aethernano before storing it in his arcane unconsciously. After that, Demetrius started to teach him a magical arts that only those studying under him was able to learn, the lightning god slayer magic. It was very difficult for Naruto to learn this type of magic, but after 3 long years worth of training he was able to summon lightning of the god at will. But still, compared to the other skill Demetrius taught him, it was nothing. His strongest magic right now was the heavenly body magic, which utilized light and constellation to power his attack. Naruto was also able to learn how to control the 5 natural elements: fire, wind, earth, water, and regular lightning. His elemental magic was not nearly as strong as his heavenly body magic, but it was still stronger than his lightning god slayer magic, and that was why he was so disappointed in himself. The lightning god slayer magic was the ultimate proof that Demetrius loved and cared for him, because like its name suggests, the lightning god slayer magic was designed to slay a mortal being, especially lightning immortal, in another word, his father. That means that Demetrius not only pass on his legacy to Naruto, but he trusted him enough to give Naruto the power to kill him. Naruto was determined to master the lightning god slayer magic to make his father proud of him, not knowing that Demetrius was already proud of him. Quickly gulping down the rest of the wine, Naruto sighed, I know, father, but whenever I tried to control it, the lightning just goes out of control. Naruto's fist quickly hardened, making his knuckle white from the lack of oxygen, something that Demetrius noticed immediately. I'm such a disgrace, having been taught by the lightning god himself, and yet after 5 years of hard work, I'm barely able to summon a small amount and control it for less than a minute, whispered Naruto softly. Right after he finished his tirade, a fist immediately slammed against his cheek, sending him to the wall. Quickly getting up, Naruto saw that it was Demetrius who punched him. Demetrius walked toward Naruto and held him up by the collar, looking at him right in the eye. Sea green and electric blue flash at one another. Don't you dare call yourself a disgrace, barked Demetrius with an angry expression that sent shiver down Naruto's spine. His eye quickly softened. Naruto, my boy, you have achieved so much in such a small amount of time, whispered the god as he turned around, getting a faraway look in his eyes, making Naruto fall. You fully grasped the concept of the heavenly body magic at age 7, something that no one has ever done. Your progress on the elemental magic is excellence. Heck, not many ninja in this village can control fire as good as you can. He suddenly turned toward Naruto with a serious expression on his face, something that Naruto was not used to seeing. And don't worry about the lightning god slayer magic, my boy, it is something that can only be learned from experience. With that said, Demetrius sparkled before disappearing, leaving Naruto alone in the room. Releasing a sigh from his mouth, Naruto's body started to be surrounded by light before he too disappeared. 3 years later, staring at the Hidden Leaf Village from atop the balcony of his room in the mansion floating on the sky, with no visible expression on his face. His golden blonde hair, with glacier blue tips, has grown and was now neck-length, billowed across his face as the fierce wind blew by. Picking through his pocket, Naruto finally pulled out what it looked to be a key of some sort. The key were golden with a circular handle and pointed tip. Surrounding either side of the key are navy blue, snake-like scales connecting from the handle to the tip. His emotionless, sea-green eyes intensified at the sight of the key as he remembered what happened in the last 3 years. After the day Naruto had that argument with his adoptive father, he went home. The Namikaze resident was the same as always. Menma ignored him and Uesuli tried to insult him whenever he can. Natsumi hanging onto his arm all the way, trying to find out where he'd been all day. His biological father, Minato Namikaze, was in his office doing boring paperwork, while his mother was doing some mission to pass time. The next day he teleported back to the mansion in the sky and was surprised to find that Demetrius was nowhere to be found. All he found was a note with 3 words on it and the key he was currently holding. It was a simple message, but it did leave Naruto in tears for a couple of weeks. Farewell, my son. After that day, Naruto spent a whole month looking for his adoptive father, and unfortunately he didn't even find a single clue. It wasn't surprising really, since he can't ask anyone for help. I mean, what would you say? Hey, have you seen my adoptive father? I haven't seen him for a month. He has pale, blonde hair and like to wear a suit everywhere he goes. Oh, did I mention that he's God? Yeah, I don't think so. Before he could continue, Debrud, an angelic voice called out to him. Don't go all emo on me again, Naruto-kun. After hearing that voice, Naruto couldn't help but smile. He turned around and saw, leaning on the door that led to his master bedroom, someone who could be considered an angel. Said girl was about 1 inch shorter than Naruto and about 3 months younger, with long, wavy and flowing blonde hair, gathered on the back of her head and tied in a ponytail that reaches down to her middle back, with 2 short bangs framing her face, and a decorative flower with large petals adorning the right part of her head, above her right ear. Her face is soft in shape, and she has large light blue eyes with long eyelashes and full lips. Even though she's only 13-year-old, her figure was that of an 18-year-old, and with a C cup, she'll be a real head-turner soon. Naruto walked toward her before kissing the teen on the cheek, before hugging her. My apologies, Jenny, I'm just thinking about my father again, whispered Naruto to the girl apparently named Jenny. Hearing what her boyfriend said caused Jenny's eye to widen before giving him a kiss on the cheek. Don't worry about it, Naruto, I'm sure he'll shows up when he's ready, Jenny said softly, still in the arm of her boyfriend's. Thank you, Jenny, replied Naruto as he started to nibble on her ear, causing Jenny to moan. He then looked Jenny right in the eyes, causing her to shiver, because there were nothing but love and lust in his eyes right now. You have no idea how much I appreciated it. With that said, Naruto started to plant small kisses down her neck, to her collarbone. Jennifer, Jenny real name, can't stand it anymore, her legs gave up, limbs, followed by a loud moan. She was tempted, really tempted to just let her love ravish her in the night sky, but tomorrow was an important day. Naruto, moaned Jennifer as she tried to stay focused. Tomorrow is the team assignment day. We can't be late. Jenny managed to cry out before she moaned again, this time even purring as Naruto's hand was now massaging her back. Lightning magic danced around his palms, causing Jenny to moan every time he touched her. Before she gave in to the pleasure, it suddenly stopped, causing her to whimper. Naruto just smirked. Seeing his girlfriend like this really turned him on. He wanted nothing more than to make her his, but unfortunately, they needed rest for tomorrow. Fine, let's go to bed, Jenny. Finishing that, Naruto carried Jennifer bridal style, causing her to blush even more, to their room. Inside their room, Naruto put Jenny on their bed before getting on it too. Putting his arm around the beautiful blonde waist, Jenny put her head on her favorite pillow, Naruto's muscular chest, and drifted off to Hypnose's realm. Staring at the beautiful angel sleeping on his chest, Naruto couldn't help but remember how they met. Flashback. Down in the street of Konoha you'll find an 11-year-old about 5 feet 4 in height, with a build that make all 16-year male-old envious. His blue cloak covering his entire body, with a hood covering his face, was billowing in the wind as said man continued to stroll around with no idea where to go. This person was Naruto Namikaze, son of the 4th Hokage, and right now he was thinking of the person who raised him since he was 5. The person who gave him love, and the person he considered to be his father. The lightning, Demetrius. Why did you leave me, father? Am I too weak to be your apprentice? Thought Naruto as his hands started to clench and his eyes morphed from sea green to electric blue. Did you leave me to find another student? One that would no dishonor you, cried Naruto in his head nut. Before his thought could get any darker, a loud scream was heard. Reacting on pure instinct, Naruto rushed toward where he heard the sound. Rushing past the civilian, causing some to scowl at him, heck, some openly glared at him. Seeing that while he passed them caused Naruto to sigh. Nothing has changed, the villagers still ignored him, some even glared at him for no reason. Now if he was Menma or Natsumi they would greeted him cheerfully and praised him for nothing. He has even seen Menma taking some fruit and the store owner just told him to come again. It made him sick how the civilian would just worship someone because their leader told them so. Speaking about leader, his parent has been annoying lately. They wanted to train them alongside Menma and Natsumi. Natsumi was of course overjoyed at the idea of training with her beloved brother, while Menma just sneered, stating that weak people like him shouldn't even be a ninja. He was correct though, Naruto wasn't a normal ninja. He was a mage. The only ninja technique he knew were the 3 academy basic. The clone technique, the substitution technique, and the transformation technique. To be frank, the clone technique and the transformation technique has no use for him. He could use magic to transform, and it wouldn't just be illusion transformation. No, by using his magic it would be real transformation. He could also use thought projection, which is even more useful than the clone technique, or the shadow clone technique instead. Thought projection is even more useful because the clone that was created by the technique was in fact not a clone. It was actually him, with half strength. The benefit of a thought projection is that it can become intangible when attacked and can become tangible when it attack. Whatever the clone sees, he will see also, like double vision. Not having releasing it, Naruto has come to the crime scene, where he heard the scream was coming from, which was an empty alley. There he saw 2 middle-aged men, both quite hefty, with a knife on hand and what seemed to be blood soaking the tip of the knife. What he saw next caused his blood to boil. A slim, rather attractive blonde was on the wall, with fear in her eyes, and several scratched marks on her arms and leg. Half her dress was torn, exposing her stomach. "Anyone please help me," screamed the injured girl. She hadn't seen Naruto just yet. The guy on the right just punched her in the jaws. Blood profusely rushed out of her mouth. Now, a doll like you shouldn't scream," said the one that just punched her. "Right, now you either come with us peacefully or we'll have to take drastic measure, it's your choice," stated the one on the left. He had a maniacal grin, seemingly wishing that the girl would pick the latter. Said girl just whimpered, before her eyes landed on Naruto who was seething right now. "Yes, but let's have some fun before we take her back to Gato," stated the first one as he reached to take off the strap of the girl dress. That was the last straws. Naruto quickly activated Meteor, causing a heavenly yellow glow to envelope him, before rushing toward the first one. His fist lodged into the man on the right jaws, causing him to fly back, before he did a 360-degree front flip and delivered a brown crackling axe kick on the other guy's head, knocking him out cold. Naruto quickly went to the girl who seems afraid of him at first. "Don't worry, miss, I'm not going to hurt you," whispered Naruto so the girl can hear. He then outstretched his hand. Said girl seemed to believe him because she reached for it and soon was on her feet. "Are you okay, miss?" said Naruto, hoping she would answer. Jennifer Realite," whispered the girl, eyes shone with tears. Naruto just smiled at her, causing her to blush. His hood was not on, so she has a great view of his face. "Well, my name is Naruto Namikaze, pleasant to meet you." Before any more can be said, the first man got up and glared at Naruto. "You're going to regret this, kid. Just hand over the girl and I won't hurt you much," the man all but snarled. "If you want her, you better get through me," stated Naruto, voice laced with authority. His meteor was deactivated, but a faint yellow glow can still be seen, surrounding him. The man right now was in fear. This was not like killing intent, which is a technique where a user used chakra to radiate bloodlust, causing anyone who was hit with it to be scared and afraid. No, this aura made him feel like an ant, like the person in front of him was God. Someone that can easily crush him, if he so wish. The thug feel like he wasn't worthy of being at Naruto's presence, like he should kneel down and bow to him. Naruto, seeing that the man was struggling, couldn't help but smirk. This was a technique his father taught to him, after he formally adopted him. It's a technique all god and demigod knew. Presence of the Immortal was what it was called. Like its name suggested, the technique made anyone on the receiving end of it feel like they were in a presence of a god. Enemy of his would feel unworthy and would give up if the technique was strong enough, and anyone he cared about will feel warmth and unimagined pleasure. Maybe that's why Jennifer was hugging him so tightly right now. It seems that it give more than pleasure to a female, which would explain why Demetrius always said that use it on a female and your greatest wish will come true. Right after he finished speaking, Demetrius would always break into a fit of giggled. "Be gone, at once," stated Naruto, voiced full of authority. The thug picked up his friend, then quickly rushed out of the area. Naruto sighed as he could feel several presents coming toward them, most likely Anbu, since his magic was real ease quite a lot. "Jennifer, a squad of Anbu are coming to our location, fast. You have to option, come with me or stay with the Anbu," stated Naruto, unknowingly wishing she'll come with him. "I'll go with you," stated Jennifer, not even thinking about the second option. She just wanted to go with her rescuer. "Alright, hold on tight." After he said that, Jennifer quickly embraced him, tightly he might add. They were covered in bright light before disappearing into thin air. Flashback end. Naruto could still remember what happened next. It turned out that Jennifer was an orphan, who has an unnatural high amount of chakra. After using some instrument in the mansion, Naruto came with a discovery that somehow she was able to absorb chakra from thin air and convert it to ether nano. What's more surprising is that she has a natural ether nano storage inside her body. That left Naruto with only one conclusion. She was not from the elemental nation. After consulting to Jennifer about it, she confirmed that she used to live on a small village, in a kingdom called Fior, but a wormhole of some sort transported her here. She has been living in Konoha orphanage since she was 5. Naruto told her that she could stay here and that he could teach her how to properly control ether nano, which she happily accepted. That event occurred 2 years ago and Naruto couldn't help but give a warm smile, something he rarely did, even with his adoptive father, as he gazed on the beautiful angel currently sleeping on his chest. Without breaking their embrace, Naruto entered the realm of Morpheus. Next day, Hidden Leaf's Academy. Sitting in front of the class, Naruto couldn't help but groan in annoyance. The only thing that kept him from storming out of the wretch's place was the teaching of his adoptive father, Demetrius, and the stern glare of his apprentice, girlfriend, lover, Jennifer, Realite. Now you may be wondering what could get the strongest 13-year-old in the village annoyed. Well, it was simple. The Ninja Academy of Konoha, or what he called his personal hell. Everyone in the Hidden Leaf who wished to be a ninja must enter the academy at age 8, and pass the final exam at age 13. During the third Hokage reign, children enter the academy at age 10 to 13, but ever since the fourth Hokage took office, the standard of the academy risen. No longer were they learning useless history, but are now on combat and how to control chakra, something that bored Naruto to no end. I mean, he'd been controlling Aeternano since he was 7 and it was far stronger and more potent than chakra. Giving another sigh, Naruto wondered if he could ditch then come back when the professor, or as everyone called him Iruka-sensei, finally come back from his break. Another stern glare from Jennifer quickly made him quickly get rid of the idea. Naruto just sighed. Again, his girlfriend was quite viscous sometime. The last time he ditched school, she wouldn't let him sleep with her for a whole month. Quickly shaking the thought out of his head, Naruto couldn't help but shivered at the experience. A whole month without his beautiful girlfriend by his side at night was a truly horrifying thought. Having nothing else to do, Naruto scanned his classmate that he considered acceptable in terms of skill. The top one on the chart was of course him with his apprentice, Jennifer, a close second. Not only is she skilled in the ninja arts, examples such as speed and agility, she was able to grasp the concept of magic, in a shorter time frame than him. Naruto, of course, seeing as she was his apprentice, taught her his strongest type of magic, the heavenly body magic. He deemed her acceptable at it, since she was able to use basic move like Meteor and Grand Chariot, but she couldn't use advanced one like Alteris and Sema. The heavenly body magic was not her strong suit, as she, like Naruto, learned a whole new style of magic by herself from the library that contained any magic ever discovered. It was called Arc of Light. Unlike the heavenly body magic that utilized cosmic power, the Arc of Light enabled the user to gain complete control of the element light. Naruto has the pleasure of seeing Jennifer create a pure white wing in a spar against him. That was one of the reasons he called her Angel, with her angelic face and creamy skin, plus the pale, almost silvery, blonde hair. She was indeed angel-like. The third on the list was his brother and sister, Menma and Natsumi respectively. Naruto knew that Menma and Natsumi are stronger than everyone in the class except him and Jennifer, since they were trained by their parent, 2S rank ninja. The rest that interest him were Sayuri and Sasuke Uchiha, twins of the clan's head, Fugaku Uchiha and brother to Itachi Uchiha, another S-rank ninja. Naruto can sense their chakra and was pleasantly surprised that their chakra match up to that of a Chunin. The rest that was even worth mentioning are the heirs to different clan in the Hidden Leaf Village. Heir to the clan that specialize in using insect as a weapon, Shino Aburame. Heiress to the clan with the all-seeing eye, specialize in body technique, Hinata Hyuga. Heir to the clan specializing in battle using dog, Kiba Inuzuka. Heir to the clan that are able to control and manipulate shadow, Shikamaru Nara. Heir to the clan full of fat people and specialized in enlarging body part, Choji Akamichi. Heiress to the clan with the ability to enter and control someone's mind, Ino Yamanaka. Last but not least, Yakumo Kurama. Heiress of the Kurama clan who are so gifted with the ability to bring illusionary arts to life. Those who were not from a clan but still caught his attention were Sai and Sakura Haruno. Sai caught his attention because he knew that Sai was once part of the Foundation, an organization created by Danzo to handle the dark matter of Konoha. That was supposed to be the case, but it turned out that the Foundation operative were Danzo's own personal army. They were trained since they were young to have no emotion and protect Konoha at any cost. Alas, Danzo and his operative were destroyed when his biological father, the fourth Hokage, sent an elite team to eliminate them. Sai was the only survivor of the massacre. Now Sakura caught his attention because of her chakra control. It was almost as good at his control over Aeternano, and that was something to be praised by. To bat her fangirlish attitude for Sasuke Uchiha caused her to be too unbearable. Before he could continue his train of thought, Iruka walked in, making the class quiet instantly. The last time someone interrupted him, they had to clean the whole academy's bathroom with a toothbrush. Okay class, first thing in order, I would like to congratulate you on becoming ninja. I know you all work hard to get here, but I'm sad to say it will only get harder, but I have no doubt in my mind that all of you. Naruto was too annoyed to continue listening, so he thought of something else. Suddenly an image of Jennifer in her swimsuit entered his mind. A triangular black two-piece with purple stripe running along the edge that clearly too small for her. She was on her knee bowing to him with pale blue eyes winking seductively at him. Before he could continue his wonderful reverie, something nudged his stomach hard. Turning around, Naruto saw Jennifer glaring at him, with a knowing look in her eyes, but before she could berate Naruto, Iruka voices was heard. Team 11, Naruto Namikaze, Jennifer realized, and Sasuke Uchiha. Your team captain will be Makoto Uchiha. A cry of, huh, what, and who, could be heard from the three team respectively. After a couple of minute hearing Sasuke fangirl moan about how they wouldn't get to be in Sasuke team, later the door opened revealing Makoto Uchiha, wearing a tight, black, long-sleeve shirt that did nothing to hide her D-cup, with the Uchiha insignia on her right shoulder. Wearing a pair of tight, black jeans that hug her shapely leg, Naruto had to give a mental whistle. Her look just screamed MILF. Naruto Namikaze, Jennifer realized, and Sasuke Uchiha, please go to training ground 69. That was all she said before vanishing in a plume of black smoke, causing some student that was near to cough. Damn, a hot sensei wanting to meet her student on training ground 69. How can this day gets any better, thought Naruto, but then his face turned serious, with emotionless eye, the way he is in public. Naruto eyed Jennifer and nodded to her. Second later, Jennifer's body was engulfed by white light, causing gasp to be heard everywhere, some attempt to cover their eyes. Second later, the light shoot upward, destroying the roof in the process. Ignoring the cry of surprised, Naruto seemingly vanish and appear behind Sasuke. Wouldn't want to keep the lady waiting, would we? Stated Naruto emotionlessly as he put a hand on Sasuke's shoulder. The same process repeated and another hole was created. 10 seconds later, not a sound was made as everyone stared in shock where the three were. Iruka was shocked too, but he knew he had to report this to the Hokage. Menma was seizing in his chair at the thought of his older brother having so much power, while Natsumi was staring where Naruto was longingly. There were questions everywhere, but Naruto didn't care. Today was the day everyone must be informed of him. Hidden Leaf Village. With a sigh, Makoto Uchiha walked toward the ninja academy. Now you may be asking yourself this. Why would she be heading to the academy? The answer was very simple. She is heading there since she would be training a team from now on. Team 11. Makoto didn't know if it's the right choice or not. She just decided to train a team since it was getting very boring in the house. With her husband, Fugaku Uchiha, the commander of the Hidden Leaf Police's force, out of the house often to work, and his eldest child, Itachi Uchiha, doing God knows what as an Anbu, she was very lonely. The only time she ever has company was during breakfast and dinner, or when her best friend since they were little, Kushina Uzumaki, come over to cry about how her eldest son was ignoring her. Thinking of that caused her to grimace. According to Kushina, she and Minato, Naruto's father, has been neglecting their eldest so they could have more time to train Menma and Natsumi to control the Nine Tails' power. Kushina had said that she was trying to make amend, along with Minato, but whenever they were going to discuss it he would excuse himself, stating that he was going to visit Jennifer. Whenever they offer to train him, he always states that he was used to training on his own. Something that caused her best friend to burst into tear whenever it was mentioned. That was actually her main reason in becoming a sensei. She would try to get Naruto closer to his family while getting paid to train her son. It was a win-win in Makoto's book. Without even knowing it, she has arrived at the door that lead to the graduating class. Drawing in a deep breath, Makoto pushed the handle, keeping her face emotionless, and strolled in, causing everyone to quiet down. Naruto Namikaze, Jennifer realized, and Sasuke Uchiha, please go to training ground 69. After saying that, her face flushed scarlet red, but before anyone can see it she has used the body flicker technique to teleport to the designated area. Training Ground 69 was actually one of the newer field created during the 4th Hokage reign. It was designed to practice powerful technique and endurance since the right side of the field was a thick forest while the other was dunes of sands. Before she can continued on her thought, a bright column of light appeared from the sky. Sand crashed into the field. When the light went down she could make out an outline of Jennifer with her arm crossed against her ankle, making them, if possible, seems bigger. She couldn't comment since the same thing happened again, revealing Naruto and Sasuke. The latter was on his ass, moaning from pain. What the heck, Namikaze, don't do that, exclaimed Sasuke, before noticing his surrounding. Where are we? Forget that. How did we get here? It seems that young Naruto here, along with his girlfriend, has some trick up their sleeves, stated Makoto with a smile. The two blonde just grunt in response while Sasuke went wide-eye. Mother, what are you doing here? Bellowed Sasuke, with his eye widened and mouth agape. Makoto glared at Sasuke, causing him to visibly flinch before adding, Don't interrupt me when I'm about to start my speech, Sasuke-chan. And it's Makoto-sene to you when we're on duty. Sasuke just give a weak nod. I said, do you understand? Bellowed out Makoto, receiving a loud, yes ma'am, from Sasuke. Shu was trembling by this point. Naruto and Jennifer just sweat drove at the two's behavior. So unprofessional. Returning her gaze to her two other students, Makoto gave a warm smile. Now where were I? Oh yes. Congratulations on making this far, but as much as I hate to be a bearer of bad news, but we are going to have a final test before you can all become official genins, stated Makoto, her face becoming serious. Hearing that caused Jennifer and Sasuke to gasp since they were never informed of the final test. Naruto kind of expecting this, mostly because the test from the academy was far too easy in his opinion. Now before we get to all that serious matter, let's introduce ourselves. She gestured to the benches on the side of the field. When all of them finally seated, she stated, now tell me your likes, dislikes, and dreams for the future. Receiving a raised eyebrow from all three of her soon-to-be student, Makoto released another. Fine, I'll start first then. My likes are my family, Kushina-chan, green teas, wines. She said the last one with a wink, making them all sweat drop. My dislike are traitors, illegal ninjas, criminals, and all that bad stuff. Now my dreams of the future are. Well, I haven't really think of it, stated Makoto with a chuckle, making her student's sweat drop again. Now you, Jennifer dear, are next. Jennifer for her part just smile. Well, my name is Jennifer Realites, let's see, the thing I dislike are criminal and rapist. Her face turned into anger for a couple of seconds at the thought of what happened to her in her younger years. Naruto seeing this went and held her hands, causing her to smile her beautiful smile. I like many things, including training, learning new technique and gardening. I love Naruto-kun, and as for my dream for the future, it would have to be getting acknowledged by the elemental nation for my strength. She finished with fire of determination in her eyes. Makoto was happy hearing that. It would seem she was one of the lucky few that got a female ninja who wasn't a fangirl. The thing that bothered her was the way her expression turned from happiness and content to hatred in a blink of an eye. That kind of expression only appear on someone's face who had faced that kind of problem before. She just hoped that Jennifer would be okay, but guessing from how she behaved, it's obvious that someone helped her with her problem. Based on the fact that Jennifer stated that she loved Naruto and was holding on to said ninja hand, she can make a pretty good hypothesis on who helped her through her trouble. Sasuke was just plain confused now. Why were Naruto and Jennifer holding hand? From the beginning toward the ending of the academy, Sasuke had never witnessed Naruto Namikaze, who was said to be even colder than him, make physical contact with a girl before, apart from spars of course, and now he was seeing with his own two eyes. Naruto holding Jennifer's, known as the Ice Queen for her angelic good look. Even Sasuke had to admit she looked beautiful, and cold personally she emit. Especially toward guys who were trying to flirt with her hand, the former seems to be content. What the heck, he never realized that the two coldest kid in the academy was actually comfortable around each other. Before he can continue making ridiculous comment in his mind, his mother voiced rang through. Sasuke, it's your turn. Not wanting to face her wraith again, Sasuke quickly said, yes ma'am, my only dislikes are weak people and fangirls. He shivered at that. I don't really have anything I like. At this, Makoto was now openly glaring at Sasuke, who managed stammered out, actually my like are my mother, and brother, and sister, well my family, he mumbled, embarrassed that he was making a fool out of himself, but who could blame him, even though he was one of the calmest people in his class. Having his mother glaring at him was not something someone could just brush off. My dreams for the future is to become the master of the Sharingan and defeat my brother in combat, finished Sasuke, gaining some of his cool back by the end of the speech. Very nice, stated Makoto. Inwardly she had to sigh. Her youngest son couldn't think of anything other than to beat Itachi in the future. She then turned her attention toward the eldest Namikaze. It's your turn, Mr. Rookie of the Year, stated Makoto with a flirtatious smile, trying to get an emotion from him. It didn't work as she received a glare instead. Naruto then stated coldly, with a sneer on his face, as you know, my name is Naruto Namikaze. I have many dislikes, too many to count. I have very little thing that interest me. As for my dreams for the future, sadness was evidence in his eyes right now as he stared at the sky longingly. Jennifer, seeing the state he was in, gave him a comforting squeeze. My dream for the future is to find a certain someone. Makoto was very shocked, but thanks to her training as a ninja she hid it well. She had never seen such emotion on someone so young. There were a mixture of love, grief, sadness, and many others she couldn't identify. Who's this person you wanted to find? It must be someone important to him, thought Makoto before she decided to leave the matter for now. Good, now that's everyone is acquainted, we will start the test. Oh, what test? I mean Makoto-sensei, asked Sasuke timidly. Makoto just gave him one of her famous sinister grin, causing chill to go through his spine. To put it simply, you three will have to do a test of my design. You passed, we become a team. You fail, all of you are sent back to the academy, she stated cheerfully. Sasuke gulped rather loudly. Jennifer just gave a smile, while Naruto continued to look on emotionlessly. Now are you ready? She received a "yes ma'am" from Sasuke and Jennifer and a nod from Naruto. Good, the test is for you three to fight me. You don't have to beat me. All you need to pass this test is impress me, got it? She received 3 simultaneous nod. Good, I'll give you 5 minutes to get ready, see you then. After saying that, she just disappeared again, in a plume of black smoke. As soon as Jennifer couldn't feel Makoto's signature near the field, she probably went somewhere else. She leaned on Naruto and whispered, so what do you think, Naruto-kun? How should we engage her? Naruto, still emotionless as ever, whispered back, after a moment of consideration, from what Minato told me, Makoto is a ninja who just got out of retirement, so we can expect her strength to sloppy at best, but she wasn't considered the Midnight Raven for nothing, so be careful of illusion, which I'm pretty sure she won't use against fresh out of the academy genin. Even so, you should only use the heavenly body magic, since she would most likely has to report this to the Hokage. As they say, the less your enemy knows about you, the better. Jennifer just nodded, knowing what he said to be true, but what she didn't understand why he says that she should use the heavenly body magic. What about him? Okay, but she was interrupted by an annoyed Sasuke. Hey, what are you whispering about? We need a plan of action to take down Mother. Before she can protest, Naruto quickly stated, he is correct, so come here, I got the perfect plan set up. 5 minutes later, we find Makoto standing on the sand biome. Stray wind pick up the sand as we speak, calmly observing her adversaries. Facing Makoto is 3 13-year-old. The first was Sasuke Uchiha, standing in the traditional Uchiha kata, the interceptor fist, that all Uchiha knows. The interceptor fist is a type of fighting style that would work well when you has the Sharingan, that is used mainly to predict and intercept physical attacks. The person that was on the far right of Sasuke is known as Jennifer Realite. She was currently in her Heaven Alliance kata, which is a type of fighting style that allows the user to quickly dodge an opponent attack, before swiftly attacking the enemy. Standing in the middle of the two was Naruto Uzumaki, and unlike his 2 soon-to-be teammates, he was not in a fighting style. He was currently standing with his arm crossed in front of his chest, his cloak billowing in the wind, not caring that he was about to face one of the strongest female ninja in the Hidden Leaf Village. A strong wind suddenly blew through the area, causing leaves to fall from the various trees in the forest biome. As if an unspoken signal, Sasuke and Jennifer launched themselves toward Makoto, who was still observing Naruto, since he haven't moved an inch. Sasuke got on in range first and threw a right hook at his new sensei. Without much effort, Makoto grabbed his wrist, twisted it, and threw him at a nearby tree. She had no time to celebrate, because just then Jennifer appeared in front of her with a kunai, attempting to slash across her midsection. Years of experience allows Makoto to quickly intercept the incoming kunai with her own kunai. Seeing that her attack was deflected, Jennifer did a backflip, narrowly dodged the slashed Makoto sent her way, charging her Aeternano, to increase her strength while in the air. Makoto was about to rush in after Jennifer. She sensed an incoming attack. Turning around, she saw a giant fireball heading her way. Thinking fast, she activated her Sharingan, allowing her to see the trajectory and power of the attack. According to the Sharingan, the fireball would not kill her but would greatly change the outcome of the battle if it hit her. Smiling, she did a hand seal. Earth style. Hiding like a mole technique, she thought, as suddenly she was absorbed into the ground. Sasuke, seeing that his mom was nowhere inside, activated his Sharingan and cursed silently. Thanks to his Sharingan, he could see his mother, and right now she was about to go engaged with Jennifer. Cursing again, Sasuke added chakra to his feet to increase his speed. Makoto was quite surprised when she emerged from the ground attempting to take down Jennifer when her back was turned. Hey, she was a ninja. Sasuke came out of nowhere and intercepted her kunai with his kunai. Right now they were fighting for dominance, trying to overpower each other. Jennifer gave a startled gasp before quickly grabbing her kunai and threw it at Makoto. Said woman was able to see the incoming projectile miles away thanks to her Sharingan quickly added chakra to her arms, to increase her strength, to overpower Sasuke, causing his kunai to launch and impact a tree right next to Naruto. Missing Naruto face by a mere inch. Not wasting any time, Makoto swing her kunai to deflected Jennifer kunai, before kicking Sasuke, sending him toward Jennifer, who caught him, but the momentary distraction was all she needed to do. 3 lightning fast hand seal. Fire style. Great fireball technique, she exclaimed with her left hand forming a fist, directly in front of her mouth. A large fireball was then fired out of her mouth and impacted where Sasuke and Jennifer was standing, causing a huge explosion. Turning away from the explosion, Makoto saw Naruto standing where he was since the beginning of the battle. He didn't even move an inch, causing her to frown. How can one not care about their comrade? What happened to you, Naruto? Thought Makoto's sadness was evidence in her eyes. Just when she was about to say something, a loud coughing sound was heard. She turned around and couldn't help but widen her eyes in shock. Standing there were an unharmed Jennifer and Sasuke, the former having both her arms spread out and an ethereal yellow shield were surrounding them. Wow, what, how are they still standing, and what is that technique Jennifer use? Jennifer then suddenly dropped her shield and pants quite heavily. Are you okay, Jennifer? Asked Sasuke as he helped Jennifer up, placing one of her arm around his shoulder. Yeah, I'm okay, that shield took a lot out of me, answered Jennifer calmly, but it was the opposite inside. In her mind she was angry. What is this? How come I can't collect any Eternano? I'm almost out of my reserve, she raged in her mind, before seeing Naruto, who had his eyes closed. Her eyes widened in return. Naruto, that jerk, he's preventing me from collecting Eternano using that absorption magic of his. She continued to rage in her mind before calming down. What is the purpose for this, Naruto? Don't worry, Jennifer, I'm Sue. Sasuke couldn't finish what he wanted to say because not a second later a fist impacted him on his jaw, sending him across the field and landed on the sand biome. The number 1 rules of the shinobi. One must not waste time when facing an enemy, and that was what you guys were doing, stated Makoto with obvious disappointment in her eyes. If I was an enemy ninja, you would have been dead by now. She then pulled her leg back and was going to slam her leg against Jennifer's stomach, but before she could, a hand grabbed her leg and threw her away. Reacting on pure instinct, Makoto flipped in the air and landed gracefully on the ground of the forest biome. She turned to see who caught her and was surprised to see that it was Naruto, who was currently putting Jennifer down on a nearby tree. The number 2 rule of the shinobi, stated an emotionless voice, causing Makoto to jolt back toward reality. She saw that Naruto was now exactly 15 feet away from her. Never drop your guard when facing multiple opponent, stated Naruto emotionlessly as he stared at her emotionlessly. The action caused Makoto to flinch. Number 13-year-old could have such emptiness in their eyes. Before she can think more on the subject, a fist slammed into her solar plexus, causing her to spit up blood. She then heard Naruto whispered into her ears, "It seems that even the teacher can make mistake." He then threw her away, slamming her into the ground, then bounce off. Miraculously she managed to land on her knee, panting hard. Her hand clutches her stomach. That hurt. It felt like I've been hit by Guy, she thought. Chuckling quietly, she managed to stand up with little difficulty. So was that the plan? You were waiting for my guard to drop before attacking me? Asked Makoto, but she didn't get a reply. Chuckling quietly again, she got into the Uchiha Interceptor Fist, flaring her fully mature Sharingan. Naruto in return re-equipped his Lightning Emperor Staff. A gift his father, Demetrius, gave him to control his Lightning God Slayer power. The Lightning Emperor Staff was a staff made out of pure, raw Eternano. 5 feet in length, the handle was made from the rare, magical Arcadia woods. At the butt of the staff is a golden, circular platform. The tip of the staff was a golden container that is used to absorb Eternano and turn it into electricity. The weapon was one of his most beautiful and prized item in his possession. IMG, full, 120528_.jpg. He quickly got into his stance, which was basically his right hand holding his staff horizontally while his left arm appeared to be ready to chop someone. He called it lightning mood. Naruto only used his lightning mood when fighting a strong opponent. Usually he just used the heavenly solemn stance against weak opponent, something that Makoto was not, if her battle with Jennifer and Sasuke was anything to hint at. Now the lightning mood stance is a battle stance that utilized the power of his lightning god slayer magic, while the heavenly solemn utilized the heavenly body magic. Even though Naruto knows all kind of magic, he preferred to use these two not only because they were his strongest, but it was because Demetrius taught it to him. Whenever he fight using these two type of magic, he felt like he had a connection to his adoptive father, something he cherished above all else. While Naruto was thinking, Makoto was also thinking. But unlike Naruto, who was reminiscing the past, she was thinking about how Naruto got such powerful weapon. She was by no means a powerful sensor, but she could still feel the power oozing off of the staff. That use made her even more confused. Where did he get it from? Shaking that thought out of her head, she couldn't help but feel anticipated. She haven't felt anything like this in a long time. That was one of the reasons she retired from being a ninja. Aside from the Hokages and the legendary sages, no one could fight her as an equal. Only Kushina, and now she had a feeling her eldest son too. She just couldn't help but smile at the thought of fighting someone worthy again. Minutes pass and nothing happened. Naruto and Makoto both still in their battle stance, unmoving, both looking for each other weaknesses. A leaf passed by them and Makoto saw Naruto twitch, barely seen by the Sharingan. Deciding not to waste an opportunity, Makoto dashed in with her top speed. If any normal person looked, she was moving in a blur, but Naruto was not a normal person. He could see Makoto perfectly fine. Nearing Naruto, Makoto threw a left jab toward his midsection. Naruto, however, anticipated this and used his staff to block the powerful staff before coating his left fist with black electricity, the lightning of God. Makoto, momentary stun when seeing that Naruto managed to use elemental technique, but not just any element, it was black lightning. Only one other person alive can still use it, and that person was in the hidden cloud, was not able to block the lightning-infused fist, which hit her jaw, propelling her into the sky. Not wasting any time, Naruto charged a Thernano into his staff and fired a concentrated beam of blue electricity toward Makoto. Naruto was not able to summon the lightning of God into his staff, since he haven't fully mastered the lightning god slayer magic, but he could still use the staff to produce high voltage of electricity. Makoto, seeing that lightning was approaching her fast, quickly spun midair, and did one hand seal. Fire style. Annihilation stream, she exclaimed. Makoto swallowed a huge amount of air before exhaling a stream of white, hot flame, which made contact with the lightning, causing a huge explosion. Naruto was still on the ground, so he was not affected, but Makoto was not so lucky and received recoiled damages from the explosion, but even that she managed to land on her feet, panting heavily, bruise covering her body. Cuts and tears were everywhere. Heck, she was missing a whole right arm of her shirt. She looked at Naruto and saw that he wasn't even hurt. Not a single scratch. What a strong child, she thought. Picking herself up, Makoto pulled out a scroll, causing Naruto to raise an eyebrow. She opened the scroll and put her hand on the center. Not a second later, a pure black katana with red blade appeared with a puff of smoke. I'm impressed, Naruto. Not many people has the honor of fighting me when I'm using Raven's blood, she said with a smirk. Are you ready to admit defeat? Instead of answering, Naruto dashed toward her with unimaginable speed, appearing before her in a mere second, swinging his staff. Thinking quickly, Makoto used her katana to block, but the force caused her to be pushed back a couple of feet. What power, thought Makoto, her Sharingan focusing on the weapon. To say she was surprised would be an understatement of the year. According to her Sharingan, the staff was absorbing chakra from thin air to power it. Naruto, not giving her any time to think, used his free hand to re-equip a kunai. He then performed a back flip, shocking Makoto, and threw the lightning-infused weapon, aiming at Makoto. Doing a one-hand seal, he exclaimed, "Ninja art. Kunai shadow clone technique," and just like that the one kunai turned into 100, all infused with lightning chakra. Makoto's eyes widened at the incoming projectile, and she knew she couldn't dodge all of them, so she did a couple hand seals, exclaiming, "Fire style. Infernal wall." She spat out great amount of fire that encased her, forming a protective barrier. All the kunai that impact the barrier melted before reaching Makoto. Just when she was about to stop the technique, something slammed into her, causing her to crash into a tree, destroying it. Makoto opened her eyes and saw Naruto with his staff outstretched, a smirk on his face. She had no time to dodge as Naruto says his next technique. Training Ground 69. Training Ground 69 was one of the newest training area in the Hidden Leaf Village. This particular training ground was said to be so tough that many Junin wouldn't even dare to enter. And right now it was being used by a team of genin. Standing in the desert biome stood the three-member of Team 11. Naruto Namikaze, Jennifer Reelite, and Sasuke Uchiha. Standing in front of them is their team captain and sensei, Makoto Uchiha. Despite the scorching climate, none of the team members seems to be tired. Heck, there wasn't a single drop of sweat anywhere on their body. The four members just stood there, and without any warning Sasuke dashed toward Makoto, his two-pronged Sharingan flaring and fist outstretched, ready to punch. Before his fist make impact, however, Makoto grabbed his wrist, about to throw him away, when a beam of light was sent her way. Thinking fast, Makoto dropped Sasuke's hand and did a backflip to dodge the incoming attack. She was about to land when she heard a familiar sizzling sound. Turning to the sound, she saw Naruto in midair with his lightning-covered fist outstretched, ready to make impact. Seeing that there wasn't any option left, Makoto used the substitution technique to replace herself with a nearby boulder. Naruto's lightning-enhanced fist made contact with the boulder, causing a huge explosion. Ignoring the explosion that was happening above him, Sasuke focused on finding his mother. After a few seconds of searching, he saw that she was underground, coming up to attack Jennifer fast. Adding chakra to his legs, Sasuke rocketed to where Makoto would appear. When Makoto came out of the ground, thanks to the earth style, hiding like a mole technique, her sword was ready to impale Jennifer when she was kicked away. Thanks to years of battle, she was able to flip in midair and land gracefully on the ground. Wasting no time, she brought her arm together to block Jennifer's left hook. What she wasn't expecting was for Jennifer to glow yellow before disappearing from sight. The next thing she knew, she was hurling through the air again. Turning her face around, she saw Jennifer where she stood seconds ago, a smirk adorned her pretty face. Deciding that it was time to fight back, Makoto did a couple of hand seals. Fire style. Burning migraine, she exclaimed as she unleashed a torrent of hot, red fire at Jennifer. Before the flame can consume Jennifer, Naruto appeared in front of her with his right arm outstretched. He then jerked his arm upward, causing the incoming fire to fly upward also. Naruto then did a slashing motion with his arm. The fire that Makoto unleashed suddenly turned toward her and rushed there. Cursing quietly for using the technique in the first place, she did a one-hand seal with her left hand, while her right was outstretched. Fire style. Flaming Aegis, she exclaimed as a shield made out of pure fire appeared in front of her outstretched hand. The fire from fire style, burning migraine, crashed into the barrier and was absorbed. To focus on keeping up the shield, she didn't notice Naruto sneaking up in back of her, until she got stabbed in the shoulder. Crying in agony, Makoto looked at her assailant and was not at all surprised to see that it was Sasuke. A smile on her face as she exclaimed, "Practice over, Delta Formation." Not long after those words left her mouth, her three students appear in perfect line facing her. Looking at her three apprentices, she couldn't help but smile. It has been 2 weeks since the genin exam, and not one day has she ever regret taking them as her student. She couldn't help but thought of the day they became a team, just 2 weeks ago. Flashback. Groaning quietly, Makoto opened her eyes. What she saw was, to put it lightly, bizarre. Sitting on a fallen tree was Sasuke throwing small fireball at the sand. Next to him were Naruto and Jennifer. What was strange was that Naruto was on his back, shirtless, his muscle fully exposed, while Jennifer was on top of him, straddling his waist, hands around his neck. Those two was making out quite heavily, if the moan coming from Jennifer was any indication. She didn't want to stop them, mostly because she was still in shock, but when she saw that Naruto's hand was pulling down Jennifer's shirt, she exploded. "What are you two doing?" exclaimed Makoto as she finally stood up, pointing toward the two. Naruto was startled and quickly got up, which was a bad idea since Jennifer was going to fall off, but because Jennifer's arms were still around his neck, they both fell to the floor. This time Naruto was on top of her. Both blushing heavily. "I told them to save it for later, mother," responded an annoyed Sasuke, who was still tossing his small fireball around. Makoto head whipped around so fast you could hear the snapping noise. Why didn't you stop them or wake me up?" exclaimed Makoto, eyes burning with feminine fury. Sasuke quickly got on his feet as cold sweat poured from his forehead. Based on his experience with angry mother, when she get this angry no one can calm her down. The last time that she was thus angry, his father, his brother had to sleep in a hotel for a week before she calmed down, and she wasn't even angry at them in the first place. Oh yeah, Naruto can explain that," said Sasuke lamely, trying to throw the blame to someone else's. "I mean, it wasn't his fault that his two teammate was going to have in public I mean, as long as it doesn't concern him he's fine. Also, who wouldn't want a chance to see Jennifer lewd body? Even he, the boy who hate fangirl and despise anything that concerned female, had to admit that Jennifer body was heavenly and she was still growing." Makoto however was not amused by this and glared at Sasuke some more, causing said boy to flinch, before looking at the two mage, who by now had put some clothes on. Jennifer was sitting on the log next to Sasuke with her head down, trying and failing to hide her flush face. Naruto was leaning on a tree looking straight at her with an emotionless face, however she could clearly see annoyance in his eyes. Sighing at the hormonal teen, Makoto turned to face all three of them. "Forgetting what happened earlier, I had to admit that not only did you impress me but you also managed to defeat me," stated Makoto. The three teen looked at her with a hopeful expression. While actually only Jennifer was looking at her like that. Sasuke was still too scared of his mother to look at her in the eyes, while Naruto just raised an intricate eyebrow. "Congratulations, you all pass." With that said, Jennifer jumped up in joy and tackled Naruto down, giving him another kiss, which turned heated quickly. Sasuke just sighed happily. He was finally a ninja, and not before long he will have the power to defeat his older brother. Makoto couldn't help but released an exasperated sigh. She now had to train her brood of a son, a cheerful and somewhat passionate girl, and an emotionless son of the Hokage. Can her job get any harder? "Now meet me here tomorrow, we'll be working on your teamwork, and maybe do some mission." "Any question?" Receiving none, she continued, "Right then, dismissed." After she said that, Sasuke walked away, while Naruto and Jennifer teleported to their home in the sky for some fun. Flashback end. Makoto shook her head to get rid of the memory with a smile on her beautiful face. It quickly became serious. "I have some news for you guys. Since we completed the total of 50 D-rank missions this past 2 weeks, we are now permitted to take on some C-rank mission." As soon as she said that, a smile appeared on her three apprentices. Yes, that's right, 3. After working together for 2 weeks, she managed to crack the emotional barrier around Naruto. Now he would smile often when with her team, but she noticed that every time they were in public, Naruto's face would instantly morph into that emotionless facade he had. "Alright then, meet me tomorrow in front of the Hokage's tower." As soon as she finished her mini speech, Makoto grabbed Sasuke's shoulder and teleported them home, leaving the two mage alone. The silence was quickly broken by Naruto. "I'll meet you back at home, Jenny-chan," said Naruto warmly, as he looked at his girlfriend with adoration. Said girl just tilted her head cutely. "Why, Naruto-kun, we can just teleport there, you know," stated Jennifer, a little annoyed that she couldn't spend more time with her boyfriend. "I'm sorry, love, but my family are getting suspicious, so I have to spend dinner with them," apologized Naruto. He didn't know why, but suddenly his family wanted to spend more time with him. His mother even offered to teach him, something that Naruto refused immediately. "I understand, see you at home." With that said, she gave him a peck in the cheek before teleporting toward the mansion in the sky. Seeing that Jennifer left, he released a sigh before his face took on an emotionless facade, walking out of Training Ground 69 and toward the Namikaze clan house. On his way to the house, Naruto had to pass the shopping district first. He noticed that everyone was smiling at him, some even greeted him with a wave of their hand. The action greatly confused the young god slayer. What is going on in this village? When he was 5 through 10 they ignored him completely, and only focused on his sibling, but now he noticed, since he turned 11 years old, that people started to pay attention to him again. His mother asked what he was doing every day, and his day even suggested a family vacation once when he was broody. It was like someone was messing with his life. The question is who and more importantly why. Quickly filing the thought for another time, as Naruto noticed that he was now in the front door of his house. The Namikaze's clan house was a two-story Japanese-style building with its front yard decorated by beautiful, exotic sakura tree. The backyard of the Namikaze's compound was designed for training, so there were a huge field with a small lake in the middle. It was the most beautiful house in all of Konoha, but Naruto preferred the mansion he, along with Jennifer, used because it was more advanced, but mostly because Demetrius, the person he considered a father, left it for him. Drawing a deep breath, Naruto opened the door and was immediately hit by a red missile, after he closed the door, causing him to fall to the ground. Looking down, Naruto couldn't help but smile at the little figure that was now holding on to him tightly. The figure had long red hair reaching her back, small, thin arm and leg, covered by a red blouse and a black skirt. It was none other than his 5-year-old little sister, Redorozu Namikaze, the only family member he actually cared about. "Big brother Naruto," cried the little redhead, as she snuggled closer to him. "Hey to you too, my little Rose," said Naruto as he stood up, carrying Redorozu in his arm, bridal style, an action which caused the little 5-year-old. The little girl started to hit him in his chest with her tiny hand suddenly. "Big brother Meanie, you haven't visited me in a long time," cried Redorozu as tears formed in her eyes. Seeing this, Naruto quickly hugged his baby sister. "I'm sorry, my Rose. I promise I'll make it up to you somehow," apologized Naruto. "Promise?" asked the little girl with wide eye. Naruto smiled at the sight. He really loved his little sister. "I promise, Redo." With that said, Naruto walked toward the dining room, the feeling of dread filled him to the core. When he got there, he saw his biological father, Minato Namikaze, sitting at the head of the table, conversing with his godfather, Jiraiya, who was sitting to his left. On his right was Naruto's biological mother, Kushina Namikaze, scolding his brother, Menma Namikaze. Said person doesn't seem to be listening since he was stuffing his face with anything close to him. Finally eating quietly by herself, his sister, Natsumi Namikaze. Natsumi Namikaze was the first person to notice her brother and was about to say something, but never got the courage. That was most likely because she was feeling ashamed of herself. You see, when they were younger, Naruto and Natsumi used to be the best of friends. They did everything together, from playing to eating, sometimes they even showered together, but like all good thing, it came to an end. Before her 5th birthday, she discovered that she had something dangerous sealed within her and her brother, Menma. Something dangerous. A demon. Not just any demon, but it was the one that nearly destroyed her home many years ago. How'd she find that out? Well, she overheard her father and godfather, Jiraiya, discussed what to train them. At first she was excited at the idea of gaining power, most likely because she wanted to impress her beloved brother, but that feeling quickly went away when her father explained why she and Menma had to start training at such a young age. It was because they contained demon in their tummy. About a month after eavesdropping on her dad and godfather, Natsumi started to hear voices inside her head. Every night she would have nightmare of walking in this sewer-like labyrinth, and every night she would encounter a steel bar with a seal on it. Inside was a giant fox that would always tempt her to use its power, saying that every time she used it, the seal would weaken until the demon was finally unleashed. The demon also said that the first thing it would do when it escaped the seal was to kill Naruto, her beloved brother. It would always bombarded her mind with image of the destroyed Konoha. An image of her dead friend and family, and most importantly, the image of her brother covered in blood. She always wake up screaming because of that, freaking out all day in fear of this demon that would take the most precious thing from her. Every time she saw her brother, she couldn't help but see the image of him dying, causing her to run away from him. It saddened Natsumi to her very core that every time that happened, her brother would always seek her out and try to help, but every time she would viciously tell him off. Over time he stopped doing that, and it hurt. As Naruto walked into the room, his father immediately noticed his presence. "Naruto, my boy, it's good to see you, son," exclaimed Minato with a large smile. After his father finished speaking, all heads turned toward Naruto. He'd already put Redorozu down and was sitting a seat away from Natsumi. No one dare say a word. The silence was of course broken by his mother. "Naruto, it's been so long since you joined us for dinner. Care to explain?" asked Kushina with a scowl on her face. It sounded more like a demand than a request. Naruto just looked at her with an emotionless face. "I was busy training with Mistress Makoto," came Naruto monotone-voiced. Hearing that, Kushina let out a sigh and face palmed while everyone else in the room raised an eyebrow, except Jiraiya, who was now sporting a perverted grin. Gaining some courage, Natsumi asked timidly, "Why do you call her that, Naruto-kun?" It was barely above whispered, but everyone heard it loud and clear. "Don't call me that," he hissed. "And I call her mistress because she told us to treat her with respect." All adult present nodded at that but couldn't help but sweat drop at what Makoto was making her team do. Maybe letting her train a group of genin wasn't such a great idea after all, thought Minato. After that, the dinner went along quite smoothly with everyone chatting. The exception was Natsumi and Naruto. The former kept glancing at Naruto at random interval, while the latter tried to contain himself from snapping at the beautiful redhead. The last part caused Naruto to mentally berate himself. He cannot be thinking of anyone beside his girlfriend beautiful. The thought made him sick, especially since the subject was his sister that abandoned him for absolutely no reason, at least from his point of view. When the family dinner come to a close, Naruto stormed off to his room, never saying anything back to his family other than Redorozu. Finally reaching his room, Naruto couldn't help but sigh angrily. How dare they? After everything that they did to him, did they not feel remorse? All throughout dinner his father and mother kept trying to talk to him, acting like he has always been in the family. Well, he hadn't been part of the Namikaze family since he was 5. In Naruto's mind, the only family he had left was Demetrius, and said God left him, leaving a golden key, which he had absolutely no idea what is for. Naruto of course had done research on the key after Demetrius left him, but it came with very little result. None of the text in the mansion had anything to say about a golden key with an intertwined serpent. He did find something that resembled it, though. The 12 golden zodiac keys. It was a series of 12 golden keys used to summon creature of the star. These creature were said to have humanoid form, but was able to change into their primal form at will. Said magic belong in Earthland, so Naruto had absolutely no idea how Demetrius received the key, since even he said that traveling between dimension was impossible even for the divine. Shaking the thought out of his head, Naruto was suddenly enveloped in pure yellow light, before disappearing altogether. Never did he notice a pair of sparkling cerulean blue eyes watching his every move. A single drop of tear cascaded down her cheek. The next day we found Naruto, Sasuke, Jennifer standing in front of the Hokage, awaiting their mission. Minato, along with his advisor, Orochimaru and Iruka, sat in from a large table, looking at Team Makoto like they were crazy, eyes twitching, and a large blush on their face. Well, actually, only Minato and Iruka looked at them like they were crazy. Orochimaru on the other hand was trying and failing miserably to not laugh at the scene in front of him. Why, you must ask? Well, on top of the Hokage's desk was Makoto with one leg on top of the other, leaning onto the Hokage, her impressive mound almost touching Minato's face. Said Hokage couldn't help but blush at the display of affection. He also couldn't help but admire Mako's long and smooth leg, that was amplified by the tight she was wearing, or her rather tight black top with a V-neck, that gave him a great view of her rather impressive bust. Makoto-san, can you please get off of me please, stuttered Minato, while inwardly cursing himself for stuttering. He got a wife, damn it. Makoto just pouted, but did not move away. Minato-kun, don't call me that. We've been friends since the academy days, so call me. At this she leaned in, her lip brushing Minato's ear, sending shivers up his spine. Makoto-chan, she finished. At the end, Minato was trying really hard to not pass out due to the blood loss he was experiencing, thanks to a massive nosebleed Makoto gave him. Uhuhihihi, mumbled Minato, as he was on the floor. Makoto then jumped off the desk before grabbing a yellow scroll marked C-Class. She then walked toward Orochimaru and handed it to him. Without saying a word, Orochimaru opened the scroll and after a quick scan stamped it with the Hokage's signature. Done with that, Makoto returned to her stunned team. Sasuke was openly gaping at what his mother did, stuttering every once in a while. Naruto had on his emotionless mask, but couldn't get rid of the redness in his cheek. Jennifer, however, was looking at Makoto with star in her eyes. And that is how you get a mission, boys, stated Makoto with a smile, completely ignoring the Iruka calling for a doctor to help the Hokage. The two boys just continued to gape at her. Does that really work, Mistress Makoto? Asked an excited Jennifer with star in her eyes. Always, smiled Makoto, gladdened that someone liked the way she received a mission. That trick will get you whatever you want from a man, so remember it well, Jenny-chan. Jennifer nodded excitedly, while Sasuke just sweat drop at his team antic. Naruto, who managed to finally stop blushing, however was not amused. Please, that only work on weak-hearted man, like my father, stated Naruto indifferently. Oh really, is that a challenge? Asked Makoto with twinkles in her eyes. The action caused Naruto to shiver, but his pride wouldn't let him give in, so he just nodded. We'll see. Makoto then proceeded to grab Jennifer, before whispering something to Jennifer. Whatever it was, it caused Jennifer to blush before gaining hope in her eyes. Will it work? Mumbled a nervous Jennifer. Don't worry, just do what I told you, whispered Makoto back. Before Naruto could say a word, Jennifer was suddenly pressed against him, her very developed bust pressed into his chiseled chest. Jennifer then proceeded to kiss him in the lip for a moment before whispering into his ear. Naruto-kun, do you like me? She whispered seductively. Naruto, whose face was now cherry red, could only nod. Seeing the nod, Jennifer presented him a dazzling smile, making him blush even more. He just loved her smile. You are going to take me to the rehab for a date tonight, aren't you, Naruto-kun? Naruto, still too stunned to speak, just nodded, unconsciously. Seeing him nodded caused Jennifer to squeal in delight before giving him a big kiss on the mouth. When she pulled away, Naruto collapsed on the floor, a goofy smile on his face. Jennifer then turned and gave Makoto a hug. It worked, it really worked, she squealed. Makoto hugged her back. I told you it'll work, didn't I? Asked Makoto, who received an excited nod from Jennifer. Now let's go. We have a mission to complete, and after that I'll help you look for a dress for you to wear tonight, stated Makoto. The two female then proceed to whispered about clothes and whatnot, squealing every so often. Suddenly Makoto turned toward the boys. Sasuke was gaping in shock, while Naruto was passed out on the floor, huge blush and a goofy smile on his face. Sasuke, pick up Naruto, and hurry, we have a mission, ordered Makoto as she continued her girl talk with Jennifer. Sasuke quickly shook his head before putting Naruto's arm over his shoulder, helping him walk, while grumbling the whole way. They never noticed the three-person in the office, watching the whole scene with varied emotion. Iruka was gaping. He never knew that two of his former students was so close, almost inseparable. Orochimaru was laughing, trying very hard to stop. Minato, on the other hand, was still pass out, but had on a proud smile, which looked totally wrong with bloods flowing out of his nose. That's all for now. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments.